We are live. Hello, everyone. I have a special guest on today's show for the Eternal Life Fan Club. This is Sarah Torrent, the alt Arab. Now, she is a very outspoken ex-Muslim, and she's been making waves. She got on the news. Okay, so this is pretty cool, and she has a message, and I'm going to be picking her brain today about all kinds of subjects. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a question in the live chat. But welcome, Sarah Torrent. So glad we finally got to do this.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll do it forever.
Yes.
You get the joke because, you guys we will live together.
And you want to live forever too, right?
Yeah. I'm totally going to become a cyborg, so they're never going to get it enough of us.
Yeah, you got some interest in thinking about this idea of becoming a cyborg anyways.
Yeah, why wait till something is broken, right? Just replace it all.
Exactly.
We have the technology.
Now, do you think consciousness will be able to be transferred into like some kind of robotic avatar? Because I'm very skeptical when it comes to, like, I could see, yeah, I could get a robotic arm, right? Mm-hmm. But can my consciousness be transferred into a robot? That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I feel like it's very interesting because, like, does it do you get transferred, or does it get transferred up to that point? Does it go into two different streams from that on? Because our consciousness isn't this item, like, it's what makes us us. So will you have some conscious twin out there who continues to make the same decisions as you? Or I don't know. I feel like if it does get transferred, the moment it leaves us, like throughout time, like that dimension matters, it stops becoming us. So.
Yeah, I feel like it would be like a copy of me and not actually me. It would just be like a robotic copy pretending to be like me with my same mannerisms and stuff, but it wouldn't be me. So that's what I'm worried about. That's why I kind of want to just cure aging and stay with my physical brain that I have now, But anyways, let's get to some cool questions. So my first is, the Eternal Life fans, if they go to your Twitter, they're going to see your banner and you're smoking on your Twitter banner. So you have to kind of explain that because, we're health nuts over here. So
okay,
are you still smoking or?
No, I vape now, which people will say is worse. But like, I don't want to be one of those people that goes, well, smoking isn't really bad for you. But I mean, like, my grandma lived to be 104 and she smoked since she was like 10. And I feel like there is a part of us that really is like highly placebo. Like, what's bad for us is what we want to believe is bad for us in a way. Like, I don't think my great grandma, she wasn't my grandma, she was my great grandma, the 104-year-old. She's illiterate, so she couldn't read the part on the packet that says smoking gives you cancer, right? And she didn't die from cancer. She actually fell to her death. So, like, I don't know how long she would have lived, but maybe, like, if I don't think I'm gonna die, I probably won't. That's my theory.
There's definitely truth to the mind over matter idea.
But I did quit smoking, and not for health reasons, believe it or not. But I did quit smoking.
So not for health reasons? What was your reason for quitting smoking, if not for health?
The smell. I just didn't like the smell. But I read somewhere when I was younger, I read that, like, swimming kind of cancels the effect of smoking out on your lungs. And it's like, when I used to smoke, I would try to swim like an hour a day. So I did a lot of swimming when I was smoking. I still feel like I have good lungs. So, but
excellent.
The other chemicals, which I know, like, are terrible. For most of my years smoking, I would smoke roll-ups. I think I don't know in that picture what I'm smoking, but it's most likely a rollie. Like.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. It's mostly as far as smoking, there's like 3,000 different additives they add to these, like, chemical cigarettes, Marlboros, and that's probably what's killing people even more than the smoke itself.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so if you do rollies and it's just pure tobacco, like American Spirits, I think that's a brand that's like pure tobacco, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's I'm not saying it's healthy, but I'm just saying I saw, like, a lot of Native Americans, like, live so old and they smoke right out of the pipe.
Yeah.
So maybe like maybe it isn't the biggest problem we have, you know? Yeah. The
Okay,
stuff they added in
so
water might be killing you.
so let's talk about religion a little bit, because you in your interviews you say you're collecting pamphlets. That's your current religious status. So you're questioning things. You're looking at what religions are out there. So have you gotten the pamphlet of atheism yet? What do you think about atheism? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think someone gets a pamphlet about atheism because we kind of like we're kind of all born that way, maybe, like, you know, and then we either pick a pamphlet or it's like atheism is the lack of pamphlet, isn't it?
Yes, I guess so.
So
So what do you think about it? Or are you agnostic? Do you believe in a God? Do you not believe in a God? What is your views on that?
I would literally put it like in none of these categories.
So it's literally collecting pamphlets. You're just like totally open to anything at this point.
Totally. So it's like the first step is admitting I know nothing, you know? So I don't really have any current prejudices towards. I mean, I know I'm not going Muslim. I know I'm not pulling a Lindsay Lohan, right? But that's for sure because I've already picked up that pamphlet. I went through it. You know, I went to the whole seminar. Didn't work out. So, yeah, I'm really open-minded to the ideas.
So what is the thing, if anything, that's keeping you kind of maybe hoping or thinking that there might be a God, as opposed to just being an atheist and saying, well, there's no God? What's that thing that's keeping you more open to the belief in a God? Because you seem really open at this point, so you're definitely not an atheist.
I think like I really love philosophy books, and I think like the best thing I learned is like to admit that I know nothing. And that's like that's what keeps me open to the idea of a God, because the idea itself is like I don't know the English word, but how do you describe something from like a mythical story? Like the idea itself is very supernatural is the word I'm going to use. So because it's supernatural, like I can't really like have an equation that results in, well, we know there's no God, so like I would be like contradicting my beliefs as a person if I said I know that there's no God. So I can't really say I know there's no God.
So like just pure agnosticism at this point.
Yeah.
Like that's what agnosticism is, like not knowing. Just admit I'm an agnostic atheist. Like the belief question is whether you're a Gnostic or whether you claim to know or not is whether you're a Gnostic or an agnostic, and whether you believe or not determines if you're an atheist or a theist.
Well,
It's like two different questions.
I think like.
But okay.
I pray with the
So I want to know like your
almost every day. By the way.
The Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, they're always on campus, and I like if I have 5 minutes to spare, I'm always like, let's do a prayer. I'll lead. And pretty terrible because I usually say gods, and just by adding that little s in there, it ruins everyone's day. But doing my best.
Okay, here's a little different tweak on this God question. Do you have if you had to choose like the reality, if you could determine if there's a God or not, would you have a preference for there to be a God or to not be a God? Would you, if you could like be in either situation, would you want there to be a God or would you not want there to be a God?
It would depend if I'm poor or rich, I guess. But I feel like that's really deep because I mean, like, if I am in a society where I have to depend on others, I would want there to be a God because I can't trust no one. So I hope Big Brother is watching, kind of thing. But if I was like really independent, just living out of nowhere, I would be like, hope not.
And I'm guessing a lot of it would depend on what type of God, right? Is the God evil or good, right? You wouldn't want an evil God.
Yeah, I think that's like a very interesting point because we hear that but we also like are taught that there's like that God is supposed to be something divine. So you end up with this thing like, so is God good or bad? Like, is there one type of God? Is there good and bad gods? Like pagan people have like different gods, and I think that's pretty cool because then you have like diversity amongst gods. But then you go to like monotheist people, and they'll like insist that God can only be good. So
Yeah, in Islam. So I want to know, like, growing up being a Muslim, you grew up with with the Muslim religion. Now looking back on it, how are your thoughts on the God of Islam? Is that a good God or an evil God?
I don't think like Islam is connected to their God. I think like Islam takes their prophet so like the one of the things that really make me like speculate Islam is like everything that happens was always very strictly through the prophet. Like they even like like Muhammad wrote Islam with such ego that it's like absolutely repulsive. He started literally by saying that he was the first soul ever created, and then everything else was created. He just didn't come to earth yet. So like they enlisted Muhammad like throughout time. So even when they, yeah, like Muslims do believe that Jesus was a prophet and Moses and David and all these, but they always had Muhammad there. So we never really got to know, you know, God well in Islam because we had Muhammad shoved so far down our throats. We like never got past that.
So in Islam, it's almost like Muhammad is exalted to some godlike status, and he's like the perfect example for every Muslim, supposedly, right?
Yeah, which is like ridiculous. Like the amount of ego that like I don't know how the people living around his time didn't go, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" Because that's exactly like the amount of ego that like developed there is just like ridiculous.
Yeah. So do you think like there's different, like I've heard some Muslim apologists try to defend Muhammad because the thing you hear in atheist circles is that Muhammad had a child bride, right? Aisha,
Yeah.
when she was like 9 years old or something. And then you hear other Muslim apologists say, oh no, Aisha was actually 18 years old. And you just hear all these different
There's
excuses
others
and,
that say she was 25.
oh, see,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Uh, it's one of like I know that Islam isn't good. So whenever I try to argue against it, I look at things from like so many perspectives to because I don't want to throw a point in the air. I want to give a point. Child bride is one of those things I try not to argue that much because there's so much controversy about it, and it's not like someone has a birth certificate. So it's genuinely one of those things where I personally think that he could have married a child because that was common in his area amongst his time, and he's no exemption because he's in no way holy. But it's not something I try to argue with people because, like you said, they do try to argue it back, and neither one of us can prove it, and then you're just stuck. So I try not to argue that, but I do think it probably happened.
Mm-hmm. And now we see like in Europe. I want your thoughts on the immigration crisis and the refugee crisis in Europe. Like we see even like child brides happening in Europe now, and they're importing guys have already been married to a child bride, and they're like accepting it because it's already happened, and they're just like they're almost like not obeying the rules of their culture, and they're allowing for exceptions because they're Muslims and they have a different religion. So that's where we see like cultural relativism coming in, and this as being a problem, I think. What are your thoughts on the refugee crisis?
Um, I'm kind of sad I didn't get to go to Europe before that because I don't want to go to Europe now. Um, I'm I'm kind of really bothered by it because like they don't realize like I feel like you gotta be real stupid to not realize like they moved from somewhere because they had a problem and they didn't change anything when they moved. So you just took the problem with you. Well, like you can't really like escape something if you take it with you, and they're doing that. So I think that here lies a perfect example in a few years where we look at this and we go, wait a second, the country wasn't the problem. The Muslims were the problem. You know, the country is just the land. Trees can't really do anything. You know. Um, so I think that it's just going to take like a matter of time before the same thing happens to Europe. And I think next they'll either like migrate to like Asia or Africa or the Americas, but I think they're going to migrate again like in a couple of decades at most. Like at most a couple of decades, I'm giving this like a far stretch.
Do you think there's any chance of the Muslims like assimilating into the Western culture and adopting Western values, or do you think that's just a pipe dream that's not going to happen? What do you think?
I think their kids might, specifically the kids of those who breed with Europeans, like, because then they'll have like they won't have a specific belonging, so they'll be more likely to not become too conservative, like Muslim conservative. Um, but as far as I see, like from seeing Muslims in America, which I do run into Muslims in America who are like second generation Arab, it's I wouldn't bet on it, because like the Muslims in America, that's like nothing compared to Europe, because first of all, they didn't come here in massive groups. They came here usually with their parents, or their grandparents came here. So it wasn't like a big move, dramatic move, It wasn't covered by the news. They just came here looking for a new life, not opportunists most likely. And they still kind of, I've noticed that some like Muslims I met here, their parents aren't even conservative, but they turn out to be. And I think it's just like, I think the problem isn't conservative or not. The problem is Islam itself.
So from watching your interviews, it seems like you're really concerned about protecting Western society and the Western values that you've grown to love here and the freedoms that Western society provides. And that was part of the reason you voted for Trump, right? Because you liked Trump's immigration policy compared to someone like Hillary Clinton.
Not just that. Like when I came to, before I came to America, I had like a certain like image in my head of what America would be. I had the American dream, right? And I come to America, and Obama was president when I got here, and I was like homeless for like over a year. And I was just like, this is not the American, like no way, this is the American dream. You know what I mean? And I was like really disappointed. It's kind of like, okay, this is like a bad comparison, but I was really disappointed like when I saw the Big Ben for the first time in my life in London, because it's called the Big Ben, and then I go there and it's like 3 stories. I'm like, that's like at most average Ben. And it's the same thing when I came to America. I was like, it's called the American dream, but I'm kind of in a nightmare here. And when Trump started running for, like, before he ran for, he actually retweeted me, and before he ran for president.
Trump retweeted you?
Yeah, before he ran for president, I tweeted.
Wow.
Before he ran for president, I tweeted, it's pinned on my Twitter, you can pull it up. I tweeted, the best part about Donald Trump running for president is watching Hillary lose. And that was before he ran. And,
and wow.
That was before either one of them ran. That was like way before that. And I was like, and it happened. I'm like, yes, the prophecy. But it's because like Trump as a person, like I look at him and I go like, oh, that's, like when I'm a kid and I'm watching like Home Alone, I look at like Trump's like 10-second scene and I go, that's like America. And then so when he ran for president, and at first, I'll be honest, I was totally memeing it, right? I was like, no way, this is hilarious. I love it. But then like, I kind of like, when he actually started saying what he thinks of America, when he started the Make America Great campaign, that's when I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, America was great in my dreams. We so have to make America great. And then I totally like, love the phrase, like totally sold on it, and everything he said actually matches it. So it wasn't just like a pipe dream.
Heck yeah. So I bet you're super excited about the inauguration. Like
3 days. I'm counting like, oh my God. I give like, every time I see it with my friends, I'm like 3 days, and they're like 3 days to what? And I'm like, ah.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So you were homeless at one point. How was that? How's it like being homeless for a year, you said?
I don't remember if it was like over or under, but it was around.
So you were completely homeless. Like just did you have a backpack and just how was it? Did you sleep like where'd you sleep and stuff?
Sidewalks, under scaffolding.
How'd you get enough food and stuff?
Dumpster dived. I don't know, people gave me stuff. I would find stuff. It was just kind of like living like a raccoon.
Wow. And now you're in school.
Yeah.
And you're studying. What are you studying?
Orthotics and prosthetics technology. And one of the girls who By the end of it, I was around this squat house that I would stay in. And it was like a very okay. This is hilarious. You know this guy who got like busted in all of like the Democratic scandals. His name was Aaron Black. He was the master of the squat house. This
The
guy
what
got
house?
the
The
squat
squat?
house. Yeah,
What's that?
it's squat house is like an abandoned house where a bunch of homeless people live.
Oh, okay.
But so this guy who got busted in all of this Democrat stuff actually used to like run the house. That's the way to put it. He was like a very shitty person. Like I don't know anyone who says something good about him. But in that house, I met a girl who was also like homeless in her youth and is trying her best to get on her feet. And she lived in not in an apartment. She lived like in a room inside this apartment where we heard like gunshots all the time in Harlem. And she was like cleaning houses during that time. And it was like a very frugal living. We still had to dumpster dive. And she said to me, she was like, yeah, fuck Aaron Black and his squat house. You can come stay with me. And I slept on her floor for like ever. And until we both actually like got jobs and everything. And now she's in college too. So there we are, two homeless girls who made it.
Awesome.
And she voted Trump.
Me too. I actually voted.
It just seems like people who like to work hard vote Trump. I don't know if it's just me, but it really looks like it.
What's your worst criticism of Hillary for people that think we're just insane for being Trump supporters? I mean, we only had two options, right? It was going to be either Trump or Hillary. So what's your worst criticism of Hillary Clinton?
Oh my God. I don't know, is your show family friendly? I best described her once. I really feel like this is the best description, and I can justify it. I described her as the Antichrist prostitute. And the reason I described her as the Antichrist prostitute is because she has done some terrible things for money. And she will do terrible things for money that will bring the end of days. So I just like, it shows a pattern, you know? For money, she totally defended a child rapist. For money, she totally threatened rape victims. For money, she totally sorry, I just like woke up not long ago. But she's always done these things that are basically like really corrupt, right? And no one speaks about them. Like, you know, like I'm surprised that video of her going, and marriage is between a man and a woman didn't make it on TV, and all these Democrats are like going crazy over her. And like, did everyone just forget the time she said homosexuals can't get married? Like, what's wrong with you guys? And she's done I don't think she personally has I don't think she has like a hobby or an interest in life or something. I think she has profit. And that's why I called her the prostitute. And I said the Antichrist because she's done completely immoral things for the profit. So that's the best way I'd describe her. Like, I think she's a businesswoman who doesn't really have business ethics.
I'd say that's pretty accurate. That's a really good criticism. She does seem like a sellout to corporations. And wasn't she taking money from Saudi Arabia and these Middle Eastern countries?
Yeah, she was.
So that seems like that could be a conflict of interest. And she was just really weak on the issue of immigration, right? She said she at one point she said she wanted to take in 65,000 extra Syrian refugees, like just as a starter.
My problem with immigration isn't whether we like let people into America or not. It's how we let people into America. I know that immigration was the strong point for Trump, and that's why a lot of people, you know, that's what really got, you know, the whole Trump wall is like merged basically right now, you know. But I don't think it was a main point for me. I think America is land of like immigrants, but it's like I said, how it happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really like pay a lot of attention to what she said. I'm against immigration because it treats everyone in bulk, and I think that no human should be put in a bulk basket.
So you're fine with immigration, like let's say the Syrian refugees, you're fine with letting them in, but you'd want a vetting process, it sounds like?
Yeah,
like extreme vetting.
I think that like in a scenario where people are trying to leave a country of war, they should be, if there is any program we're going to instill Okay, if we're going to spend any money on it, instead of building tents and camps and whatnot, we can just let them go through the regular American immigration process, which exists, which they can still take, by the way. I know my mom is doing it, and my mom doesn't want to be a refugee. And they sent us a letter going, "Hey, did you know you could be a refugee?" And my mom's like, "I don't want to. Like, I just want to be an immigrant." And I have the paper somewhere here. I'm not even joking. I think that's not it. But anyways, so I think instead of spending all that money on tents and camps and etc., how about you just hire some more people to take care of the immigration process? Because knowing, while doing it for my mom, knowing that it takes like over a year to do it. Which, I mean, we could expedite that, not by making it easier, but by just hiring more people. That way, bringing in immigrants actually benefits Americans, because now you provided jobs for Americans during the process, you know? And you didn't bring in people by bulk. You brought them in as immigrants, not as refugees. You just helped them out by having faster service.
And here's an interesting idea. So like Trump, first he wanted the Muslim ban, right? And then he switched it to more of just like he's saying extreme vetting. But if you're inviting a bunch of people over from the Middle East, how do you know they're not, you've heard of taqiyya, right? Where it's like Muslims think, some Muslims in some interpretations think it's okay to lie, right? So how can you prevent them from getting through the immigration process and the vetting process if they are perfectly willing to lie? Some of them, not all, but some of them would, you know.
I think the problem isn't actually like trying to prevent them to lie, because like, you know, at the end of the day, we can't really strap everyone to a lie detector, because that wouldn't work. But I think the vetting process itself is actually more than just trying to find out if someone is a terrorist. The vetting process includes, you know, knowing who came in. Because when refugees aren't accounted, because they come in and they go, "I don't have documents," and that's how they become refugees. But when you count them coming in, you at least know who's there. And when you know who's there, you know where they are. It's the same problem we have with illegal immigrants. It isn't just about vetting. It's about like knowing what's in the country, you know, knowing what's in the dish.
It's definitely great to know who's in the country, but also it's like if they do a mass shooting or blow themselves up in some jihadi terrorist attack, at that point it doesn't really help. It's too late. So it's like,
where you're coming from. Yeah.
Taqiyya. So were you raised with the idea of taqiyya growing up in a Muslim family? Were you taught that it was okay to lie? And
my family isn't like my family. I didn't like grow up in a Muslim family, but I went to a Muslim school in a Muslim country where we were told we have to do this just because, or else this is not. My mom's exact words were, "We're just guests here, so we have to go by their rules." And that's her exact words. And I wish Muslims saw it the same way. But something I've learned about taqiyya is that I didn't find out until so much later in life, because as a woman, they had to use it on me. Like as a woman, they had to tell me, "Oh yeah, Islam respects women so much." And I was like, "Word, I like that." You know, as a kid, I'm like, "That's a great idea." And so I kind of like I don't think that they tell children to use it. I think they just kind of like give you Stockholm syndrome of some sort, or they just kind of make you dig too deep, and then when you're in it too deep, you know, you're up to your shoulders in that hole you dug, and you're like, "Well, I mean, like now I can't get out, so might as well bring people in," kind of thing. Because I've noticed that no one goes up to kids and goes, "Hey, you know, pretend Islam, or pretend I don't beat you," you know. But what I think happens is that they use it on the kids, and then the kids grow up and they're already too far in it, and then there's the social pressure that, "Hey, well, you're Muslim now. If you leave, we'll kill you." So the kid is like, "Well, fuck, I can't leave now because they'll fucking kill me." And then so they either become what we know as radical Muslims or what we call them in America, like you know how there's some people will be like, well, I have a friend who's a Muslim and he drinks. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, good for your friend, you know, I don't fucking care. But then, you know, and then you'll see some kids will either grow up to just kind of disregard the rules, and other kids will grow up and then like they still don't want to feel bad about themselves, but they're too deep in it. So they can't leave. So now they have to tell you how great it is so that you don't feel bad for them. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what happens. I think most of the Muslims who participate in it, they just don't want the pity of what they got stuck in.
So you've never done takia?
I don't think I have. I'm not really like, I wasn't that social growing up, so I wouldn't really talk to anyone.
Or you could be doing takia right now, right? You could
I
still be a
know,
Muslim.
right? I know, right? This would be like very elaborate.
You'd be the best
like
takia.
like die a non-Muslim, go into like Islam hell, and then like
Mhm.
right at the end of times, I fooled everyone.
So I'm really curious, just knowing more about what it was like growing up as a Muslim in the Middle East. What country did you grow up in?
Kuwait.
Kuwait. And that's a predominantly Muslim country, right?
Oh, very. It's
So,
illegal to
like,
be atheist.
what's
there.
illegal?
It's
It's illegal to be
atheist.
atheist?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's illegal to
So,
leave Islam too. Like you can't. So in Kuwait they write your religion on your identification. I'm not even joking. Like, okay, so I love this. I love this because Muslims in America are like, no, you can't write Muslim on my identification. Well, excuse me, your country does it. Why can't we? You know? And in Middle Eastern countries, they write your religion. What's even crazier than your ID, they write it on your birth certificate.
wow.
I
That's crazy.
I might actually have my brother's birth certificate laying around somewhere, and I could like prove that. I just like I have so many papers next to me. It would be ridiculous that a baby's born and they look at the birth certificate. You know, liberals in America are like, oh no, assigned gender, dude. Try assigned religion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Guess what? So they've been leaving, there's comments and stuff in the live chat. I have totally been neglecting it. So let's answer a few questions. Okay, Devin says, where is she from? So we got that one figured out.
I'm from
Oh,
Syria.
that's not
I
Devin.
lived in Kuwait.
It's Atheism as Unstoppable Archive. That's not Devin. I thought it was Devin for a second. You know Devin Tracy. What do you think about Devin Tracy?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, you don't know Devin Tracy? Atheism is Unstoppable?
No.
The YouTube channel?
No.
Yeah, he does this really great YouTube channel. He's probably my favorite
Nice.
YouTuber.
I would check it
And he
out.
talks about the problem of radical Islam and everything. And he came up with the regressive agenda. And one of the regressives, are you familiar with the term regressive?
Yeah.
And one of the things they do on their agenda is, they'll kind of, when anyone starts talking about Islam, they'll always just say, well, not all Muslims are this way. And they just immediately try to shoot you down by just saying, well, not all. And that's one of his agenda.
I've been meaning to make a
points.
video about the not all Muslims argument and the you can't generalize Muslims argument because, like, okay, I use the word Muslims a lot, but I've been using it wrong. Let me rephrase. I don't criticize Muslims. I criticize Islam. And if they get offended when I criticize having sex slaves, then they might be the bad guys, you know? So
Yeah, and we're of course not talking about all Muslims. It's true that we're not talking about all Muslims, but it's basically they're just talking about a non-problem, and we want to talk about the problem of like radical Islamic terrorism, and they're just trying to minimize it all by saying not all, and it's just
okay.
it's not good.
A good thing about, like, I always find a good argument for the not all Muslims. So if you open the Quran and you find the verse you like the least, right? You find the one where it's like, well, if you leave Islam, die. And then you go, now we agree not all Muslims, right? And then there's this awesome Muslim friend you have that drinks and dates and goes out to parties. He's not all Muslim, guys. He doesn't shoot up places and blow bombs, guys, right? So he's the Muslim we like, right? And then you sit next to him and you open up the Quran and you look at that one and you go, man, I fucking hate this fucking verse. I hate this shit. Right? Does he
Mm-hmm.
get offended or not? Because that's how you find out if it's all Muslims or not. Will this person, where will they stand on the moral scale when you say this verse does not work for me in the Quran? You know, you point at that one verse and ask your cool Muslim friend, you know, for all the liberals out there who go, well, I know a Muslim and he's pretty cool. Good for you. Invite him into your house, point at the verse you don't like, and ask him how he feels about it. If he says the Quran is holy, then he just basically proved that all Muslims, because he just said kill infidels. So, and then if he didn't, and if he said, yeah, I agree with you, that Quran is bullshit, man, then he might not be a Muslim. You know, maybe, you know, it's one of either. You can either believe in the Quran or not, because the Quran says so itself. Like, it's a rule in Islam that you either believe in it or not. So
That's a great point. And a lot of the moderate Muslims, like I've seen a cartoon where it's like the radical Muslims are holding up a bomb and the moderates are like they're lighting the bomb, like lighting the fuse. And it's like they're, you know, in a lot of ways, the moderates kind of, sometimes the supposedly moderates, you'll see in like the Pew polls, they'll even condone what the radicals are doing in a way. Like they'll say, yeah, we would want Sharia law. And if you want Sharia law, that's kind of a litmus test, right?
Yeah,
to how moderate you really are.
Yeah, if you agree that like gays should die, you might be the not all Muslims, you know, like problem right there. See, that's like it's one of those things where you could make a game show out of it, you know, the moment of truth. Is it all Muslims or not? Bring out the coolest Muslims you have, you know, the Tony Hawk of Islam. Bring him out and see how he feels about certain things. And then that's when you really find out not all Muslims are not. People think it's just because, well, yeah, my Muslim friend has a tattoo. Well, maybe your Muslim friend is a shitty Muslim and not a good person. Like, have you thought about that?
Yeah, that's a great point. That would be revealing. That'd be quite a game show.
With like a buzzer and everything.
But speaking of gays being thrown off cliffs and stuff, like, did that happen in where you were from, Kuwait? Were they killing gays and executing them and throwing them off the balcony? Did you ever see that?
I've never personally seen that, but I know that I've had friends been arrested for being gay. But for suspected of being gay, I mind you, they weren't even gay. They just looked fruity. But I have this amazing story. Okay, we have a ministry of morals, or like that's how it would translate, right? And by morals, they mean Islam. So we have a ministry in Kuwait that takes care of everything that's pro-Islam and everything that's against Islam. That's basically like the person in charge of that is the person who goes, yeah, put that gay in prison. As if you just didn't put the gay in heaven. But basically, one time I was with my ex-husband and we go to visit his dad at his dad's beach house. And we go there and I'm not even joking. This guy comes out of this woman at the beginning comes out of the sea wearing like the tightest bikini ever with like gigantic tits, but there's a huge bulge downstairs, and I'm like, oh my god. And this was on a private beach, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to look there. Like, it's kind of really awkward. I will never forget it. It was red. Okay. And anyways, this she, I guess, comes up, says hi. We're polite. We say hi. And later on, I found out that she-male is the word we use, right? Mm. Yeah, that the she-male is actually the son of the minister of morals in Kuwait. And I was like, karma, man, karma. Like, this is amazing.
Wow.
He has 3 sons, from my understanding. I got to meet his family. He has 3 sons. I don't know about one of them. I hear something weird happened with that one kid and he left the country. But one of them is gay and one of them is full-blown she-male. And their dad, literally the minister of Islamic law in Kuwait that punishes gay people, pays his kids to either stay at the private beach or travel so no one else knows about it. And I was wow.
So she-male, another way of saying that would be like transvestite, right? So this person's transvestite?
I thought transvestite is someone who dresses.
Oh, were they a transgender? Or they're just super flamboyantly gay? What do you mean by she-male?
I mean tits and penis. I don't know, like
Oh,
I don't know the other word for it, but I thought transgender was when they completely changed their gender.
yes, yes.
This person was like, nope, I'm just gonna be both. And like
Wow.
and it wasn't like something he could cover like at all. It was like I'm pretty comfortable, and it was still awkward for me because like he was in Kuwait. I've never seen someone as slutty as this man. Like that's the best way I'm gonna put it. And it just made it so much better to know that his dad was actually the person putting gays in jail. But like from my understanding, like this guy was very open about everything. Like he said something about how his parents give him money to go to Thailand and spend and stay in vacations there. So there you have it. The minister of Islamic Sharia law in Kuwait that pushes gays and into prison. His son is just in hiding for being gay and like living the rich life basically.
Wow, that's fascinating. And what is it about gays and Islam? Is it against, is it something with anal sex? I mean, what is it about the Muslim religion that's against gays? Is it in the Quran to be against gays?
I think
Does
like
it have anything to do with anal sex, or is anal sex?
no,
What are
I
the
don't think
Muslims' views on anal sex?
I've like I haven't seen like a big drama about it. Like actually like all Muslims I know have anal sex because they don't want to lose their virginity because like if the girl loses her virginity before marriage, it's a big deal. So like
Really? And they don't see anal sex as losing their virginity.
no, like like oh my god, but so many people who like have had anal sex in Kuwait and they're like, well, I'm still a virgin. And I'm like, you've had like 50 dicks. What are you talking about? It's like it's so weird. They and mind you, most of them like actually wear the burqa. And Kuwait has developed a party culture that starts at 8 a.m. because that's when girls say they're at school or at college or at work, but they're really partying. So there's an entire party culture that starts at 8 a.m. dedicated to Muslims
Oh, wow.
and anal sex. And this is like a famous phenomena in Kuwait. Um, it's so famous that we have like the culture has developed certain slang we use like there's like this one college that's known that's the college. It's a junior college for women, and that's basically like where all the women who come from the super Muslim places would go to college because it's a religious college. And like in Kuwait, if you like basically want to say a girl is cheap, you'll say she's from that college. Like it's that
Oh,
bad. It's that bad. And then they even make like, oh my god, the amount of jokes is like ridiculous. I could so bring in a Kuwaiti who can tell you about all this. I have a Kuwaiti friend who laughs at this like hysterically. He's just like, I have this friend who used to like hate the fact that this goes on in his country, but now he's just in complete like, yep, fuck it. But it's so weird, man. It's like so alien, and like I feel like it's one of those things. I don't know how how no one is going, what the fuck, it's like a bunch of salon articles, you read them and you go like, how does no one at the office notice how ridiculous this is?
wow. It's really interesting. So
Yeah,
you're making it sound like in Islam and the Middle East, anal sex is like even more popular. Because I figured it was
very
kind of
popular.
like Christianity, where in Christianity anal sex is kind of demonized, right? It's called sodomy, and there's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and I figured it was kind of the same way in Islam, but apparently not. It's more accepted in Middle Eastern culture.
Religiously speaking, I don't even know if it's okay, but like I've seen things like those like Ask Abbeys in the newspaper stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually like seen before something about how a woman was saying something about how her husband likes anal sex, but she doesn't, and it was like handled so normally in the paper, like this is a family paper. But I feel like it's just so normal there, even though like my mom has always been freaked out by this. Like I don't think my mom has ever been like don't have sex, but she's been like don't have anal sex, and I'm like what are you even talking to me about? Like, it's just like very popular to the point that my mom actually mentioned that before she mentioned regular sex.
Wow. That's interesting. So, and is that because your mom was what influenced your mom to have those views about anal sex? And did that influence you at all, being told that by your mom?
I mean, I feel like it's one of those things that I don't know if someone has to tell you if you should like it or not. It's one of those things that you just kind of
Maybe it
decide
was.
on your own. But I think the reason why my mom said it was because she knew how popular it was, like
Oh.
everywhere. It's one of those things where you just know that everyone does it. So like it's not assumed that someone would say no.
Hmm. Could it be that she was maybe concerned about health hazards from
Oh no,
it,
no,
like
yeah, no,
STDs and?
my mom was actually like concerned about like, so I think it was so bad that my mom like was concerned I'd have sex at all. And it didn't even cross her mind that I'd have regular sex. I think it was that bad.
Wow. So they're really using this anal sex as like a backdoor way to stay virgin or something and
They
still have
are.
sex, and
They
this is
are.
so
And
weird.
it's like it's so weird. Let me tell you something. You and all your viewers, you want to get anal, you find yourself a girl from the Middle East, the Gulf area, like Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain. Usually they'll know what they're doing. Like pro
Oh my
tip.
gosh. Wow. Um, so you were married to a Muslim man. That's what you talk about in your interviews sometimes.
Yeah.
How was it like being married to? Was it a very oppressive? I mean, did you ever worry that you were going to get honor killed, or I don't know, beaten or raped? I mean, how did it get? How bad was it for you?
And he was my height. Like I'd like to see him try to honor kill this, but um I think I think it was like this is when I found out about Takia. This really was because before we were married, I uh like he knew me. So life was pretty normal during our engagement. I got to wear the same clothes I would wear every day. As a matter of fact, the day I went to court, I went in a regular t-shirt, like a short sleeve shirt. Everything was normal. But then like the moment I was like recognized as his wife, it immediately like dropped. The entire act dropped. There was no more Takia in my life. Like up until the day I married him, everyone has told me that women are so treated equally in Islam. The day I signed the paper, all of the taqiyya dropped. Every taqiyya I've met in my life. Everything from you're gonna be so happy when you get married to, well, he's your husband, you have to listen to him. Like that's just like overnight.
Wow. So you kind of felt that things changed rapidly when you got married,
Oh yeah.
and he was way more oppressive than he let on in the beginning.
Oh yeah. I'm talking like it was so shocking. Like it was kind of like, dude, like at least ease me into it. But no, Takia instantly dropped. So it wasn't like I could go like, well, maybe he changed. No, it was like obviously an act.
So what kind of oppression and what are we talking about here? Like let's specifically, what did he do that's so bad? Abusive.
I think if I was to name the most abusive thing personally, I would say it's the trickery. Okay, because you can't like you can't wait until after someone is married to you and then suddenly become like something they wouldn't have married in the first place, and then literally say, what are you going to do about it? You can't divorce me. You have no choice. So I think it was that, like, he was fully aware that I was trapped. Like it's not like he didn't know, because he said it himself. He said, well, you're stuck with this now, you'd have to deal with it, you have to adjust. And he literally said, you should have expected this. Whenever I told him, listen, I think this isn't fair because you've changed, he would say, well, you should have expected this. We're married now. Why wouldn't you know this? Like, why wouldn't you know that it's supposed to be different? I'm like, it's like, because I met you and you didn't seem that bad. I would say the things that definitely drove me away was this like constant obvious reminder that I wasn't free. And when I say constant, obvious reminder, I mean like I was told I wasn't free. You know, like I'd be like it was a lot of little things, like these pants look great, and then like it would be like, yeah, but I won't let you wear them, and I'm like, well, maybe if you say it in a different way instead of I won't let you. So there was
So he was kind of treating you like his property or something.
yeah, like it was like it's the way it was like every day was really like there was no regard to how I would feel about this because he admitted it. I was stuck, so why does it matter how I feel about this? And I think that psychological like torture is like the worst part for me. It's been physical, it's been other stuff I'd rather like not talk about, but he asked me what is the worst stuff, and I'd say for me it was that.
Did you ever fear for your life?
Uh, okay, I could make a terrible joke right now, but um,
Do it.
I think I was gonna say, well, like I was so depressed. I wasn't fear. I was looking forward to it, but I think that's not really a joke. I think there was times when I just I didn't care. It was just like
Wow.
like it. I felt like I've been ripped, um, stripped down from like of my personality as a person because I wasn't allowed basically. So I feel like I don't want to say, well, I felt dead inside because that sounds cliche, but it did feel like I wasn't alive, so I didn't really think about it. I was just kind of zombieing out my life.
Wow. And did you have other girlfriends and stuff that you were talking to, and would they relay similar experiences that they were having with their
There was no one I
mu-
talked to about the only person I've ever talked to was my dad about this, and one girl, and she couldn't relate because she wasn't married. Um, but there wasn't anyone that I could call up and be like, "Listen, I have a bruise." You know, there wasn't anyone I
Mhm.
could do that, and because I I was so like broken mentally before I got broken physically that it felt like I couldn't or I wasn't allowed to or something like that. But see, that really shocked me that after there is like two or three, two, I'd say two people I'm really close to from back home. Um, they're both Arab. They both come from Muslim backgrounds, but neither is openly non-Muslim, I'd say. Um, and both of them reached out to me after I left, before all the TV stuff. I'm talking like a year after I left. And they were like, "Why did you never tell me?" And I was like, "Well, what could you have done?" And they both just had the same reaction. They don't know each other, but they both had the same reaction, which was just complete silence, going, "You're right. Well, I could have at least comforted you, like I don't know, something." But like, even the people who did care admitted that there's nothing they could have done. So I wasn't at fault for not telling them.
Wow, I see. What age were you married to this guy?
I think it was like 17 or 18. Maybe
Okay.
no, it was 18.
Okay. So, did he ever try to give excuses like why he's so abusive? Like, did he start reciting from the Quran and be like, "Hey, look, this is it says right
He did.
here."
He did.
He
He
did.
did. And
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
and I was like naive Muslim back then. So I'd like flip through the pages and go, but like, yeah, but it says right here, be kind, right? And then he'd find 10 other pages that said like whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's when I started to go, well, it can't be bad, this is the religion I love. There's gotta be something in here that's there's no way I should feel like this, you know? And then
Wow.
I looked
Did,
like more and more and more into it, and I was like, "Yo, this religion owes me an apology." I was
so
like,
quite a contrast when you came here and saw the freedom of the Western women and how different that is from where you came from. You just must have been mind blown or something.
Yeah, I feel like okay. I feel like when I first came here, I was just like so shocked for a while, and it wasn't because of the culture. It was because of my living conditions. Kind of, it was like a December when I came here, and it was up north. Um,
Mm.
I actually still have the flight ticket from the day I came,
Oh, wow.
and it has my old name on it. It doesn't have my new name because I changed my name along the way. It has my birth name on it, and I keep that because it was the day everything changed. I think I've shown this to anyone ever, actually. Uh, let's see if I could. Well, if it's not in this drawer, then I'm not gonna look for it. Sorry, but
I love seeing all your posters in the back there. I saw Edward Snowden poster, I see your Trump poster, your Pepe poster. I love your wall there. It's so creative.
Thank you. I don't tread on me.
Yeah.
I got my Syrian flag, and this thing, here we go. This thing right here, the gray thing. This is actually a list of all the rhetorical fallacies. Because if I'm gonna have any discussion with anyone, apparently I need a list of rhetorical fallacies on my wall so I can point out where they went wrong.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, and I hear like at least 2 or 3 every day.
So I've seen the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. What does that mean to you? Because I'm not really that familiar with the culture and the slogan. I've heard it around. Like, it's a libertarian thing, right?
Yeah. For me, it means it's like further than being American. It just, for me, like whenever I see that, I really see someone taking a stand.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way I view it is, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, someone comes up to you and then they go like, "Hey, you have to do this," and you just go like, "Don't tread on me." I think it's the ultimate form of like, it's the ultimate like flag of freedom so far that I've seen that really says it literally.
Absolutely. What's the snake represent? I've always never realized. What's the snake? Yeah, what's that for?
I don't know.
Kind of like this fighting back, maybe.
Let's see. What does the snake on the Gadsden flag represent?
Did you ever have to wear a burqa? I'm curious about that.
No.
No burqa?
No, I've never had to wear one.
Wow. So in Kuwait, I guess not all Muslim countries have the burqa policy?
No, they did not all of them.
Oh. So Kuwait is probably, would you say it's one of the better places to be a Muslim? Is it more liberal there or something? Or
Yeah, I would say it is.
Okay. So did you get a result on your snake search yet?
Yeah, it's the timber rattlesnake can be found in the area of the original 13 colonies. It's used as a symbol of the American colonies, can be tracked back to the publications of Benjamin Franklin. He made his first reference in a satirical commentary.
Interesting.
Okay. The comic, he said that the policy of Great Britain was to send convicted criminals to the Americas. So Franklin suggested that they thank the British by sending rattlesnakes to England.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna answer a few audience questions. So somebody wanted to know. It's kind of a funny question, but does Sarah Torrent BitTorrent? Do you use torrenting services? And how did you get your last name? Is that it's not your original name, is it?
No,
did you come up with that?
Not my birth name is actually both Arabic and Hebrew, and it means she-wolf. I don't want to say the actual last name, but that's what my real last name translates to. But Torrent was because I had to change my name because I was going back to the Middle East and I didn't want to go under a name where I was on a wanted list. So I had to change my name. And like the flight was in 2 days and my court date was like, I had to write the paper and take it to the court. And I was like, oh my God, like, what do I make my last name? I have to like just come up with something like real quick. And like, okay, as much as I want to say, well, torrent because it means river and stream, and I'm free like a stream. As much as I want to say that, I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? How about Luke Skywalker? And I was like, oh my god, you can't do that. Apparently, it's illegal. You cannot change your last name to Skywalker, guys. I know because I tried, and it was just like, I was like, okay, I had to think fast. I had to think of something that makes sense as a last name in a way, but also nifty. And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I worked at the Bitcoin Center. So I look up and I see like the sign that says BitTorrent or something like that. It was like something like a startup. Not it wasn't a startup, but someone had the banner up, and I was like, okay, torrent sounds okay, like I guess, because you can't really tell what country it comes from. But then it sounds like, yeah, people will get that it's how you download stuff, but some people might think it's an actual last name. So, and then it was like so last minute, like I had to come up with that like less than an hour before going to court.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like right before getting into the train, I had to come up with that.
So here's something interesting I wanted your opinion on. So I recently saw some pictures of in Iran there was a something called the Islamic Revolution of 1979,
Yeah,
and there's all these before and after pictures. Are you familiar with this?
yeah, I'm familiar with them.
And it kind of just shows the vast change between before and after this Islamic Revolution. And before, you see like girls like you'd expect them to be in like they look very westernized, more liberal, like in America. So you saw those pictures.
Yeah, I think that Islam really like. I've been trying to start this movement, except no one would join me in on it, and I really want it so bad. I think that Arabs should reclaim Arabia. Um, like I don't like when people think that Arabs have to be Muslims. It upsets me
Mm-hmm.
because not only do I not like Muslims today, but I don't like what they did to my ancestors, who were not Muslims if it wasn't for the sword. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I think, yeah, I think like Islam robbed an amazing culture. Arabia was a really beautiful culture. They had poetry and science and art and, um, okay, take this for now. I like to mention this a lot to like my cousins and friends. And I go, hold up for a moment. Before Islam, we used to be the leading nation in like trade in Syria. Both Vikings and ancient Egyptians wrote about how awesome the boats we made were, for God's sake. And then like after Islam, now we're like a third world country.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that say something? But then no one wants to look at it. And I'm trying to get Arabia back. I want like I feel like the Jews got Israel, and I feel like the rest of the Arabs that are not specifically Jewish, or they could be. No, I don't want the Muslims, but like I feel like there should be a part of Arabia where we can be home without being Muslim.
Yeah, and that's why you wanted to start like a secular Arab state, right?
Yeah, I feel like they owe us though, because like this was our land, you know, and they stole it from us and they massacred us. They kind of owe to give us back a piece of our land. But how do you take that against a Saudi prince with a shit ton of money? You know, they freaking made a Saudi prince the head of the like human rights of the UN. Where do you take that offer up to? So I feel like if we can't do it legally, there's got to be some way. I will instill anti-Islamic messages into all their kids' heads. Or they could just give me the land back.
Okay, so was there anything positive about being a Muslim and being raised in the Muslim religion? Was there anything positive at all, or is it all
Yeah.
just negative?
No, I think there was something positive. It's like part of not being free is like I would definitely consider myself privileged at home as a Muslim. Like I didn't have to pay bills and do stuff because I was a woman who can't work, right? If I
Mm-hmm.
can't work, how am I gonna pay bills? So so I think that was a good thing, is that like we didn't have to do anything. And
Wow.
most Muslims like will have housekeepers. So like I literally didn't have to do anything.
Wow. So what did you do with all your time? So your husband was basically just supporting, being the breadwinner and
Yeah,
provider, right?
he didn't work either, though he just had money. But
Okay.
uh
So he was kind of a wealthy guy.
no, it wasn't like he during the time we were married, he was in between jobs, I'd say. But it's still like compared to what I live like now, we still had more money than I do now. Um, but for me, I'd say my day was so okay. My husband at the time would go out with his friends a lot, and I would just like browse memes at home. Like, it wasn't really any like when I was left alone at home, I would just like browse the internet, and I had that. I'm not gonna say I didn't because I did. I did though. I wasn't allowed to browse Reddit because I had a Reddit profile and I made a couple posts on our atheism, and I will not forget this because someone actually told my husband found out about my account name, and I got in trouble for it. So I wasn't allowed to browse like forums, I'd say, but like I could still like. I think back like 2013, I was probably browsing like funny junk or something like that. I was just like browsing random memes, like
Mm-hmm.
Ebom's World or something.
Oh yeah, I know that site.
So like, yeah, and I was just like, I play video games too. It's just like,
And then at
yeah,
some
well,
point
yeah,
you got into watching live streams, right? And that was a big part of your education and that kind of
yeah,
freed your mind.
yeah. It was during like Occupy Wall Street that I got into watching live streams because like I didn't know people streamed, but then like I would be like watching, like I'd be like browsing my regular memes, and then I'd see stuff about like um what's going on at the political movement in America. And during that time, it was Occupy Wall Street. And during Occupy Wall Street, there was a lot of live streamers. So when you go to YouTube to watch one live stream, it suggests live streams to you. And it just
I
becomes like,
see.
yeah. And then you like from live streams, you start watching vlogging. From vlogging, you start watching like videos with a point, and it goes on.
So here's another audience question. Ian Murphy wants us to talk about death. So he wants to know, how do you view our culture on death and the Grim Reaper?
Our culture on death. I think the Grim
Yeah.
Reaper. I think the Grim Reaper is because like we're all like people are always in a world where we want to blame something, especially if we don't know, right? Like, a Grim Reaper is an old concept. Obviously, now we know why people die, but back then, Grim Reaper took you, you know. And also, the Grim Reaper uses the idea of dying into a more like going somewhere else because Grim Reaper holds your hand and takes you with him, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not dying, you're just going to death, and that changes the whole idea about it.
So do you fear death? Do you have any fears of death like me?
No.
I'm afraid of death.
I don't think I'm scared of death because like I'm so convinced that I'm not dying. That I think like yeah, if I die, I'll probably just unplug.
Oh, so you're convinced that somehow your consciousness will carry on, right? In some way?
Yeah, I just can't be sold on the idea that I'm gonna die. I guess can't make me can't
So
make me
like
die.
an afterlife, or what do you think is going to happen if you die? Not when, but if. We're going to try to live forever here on earth,
Yeah,
right?
uh,
That's the plan.
it always bothers me that if the only way to find out what happens is to actually die, and that bothers me so much. I don't want to die to find out, but that's the only way we'll find out. But I think what I'd like to think is that we become gods, or something goes on. But that's the part of me that's scared of death that wants to believe that.
So did your views on death change after you lost the Muslim religion? became an ex-Muslim, did you start to think about death differently? Because as a Muslim, what do you think there was like a paradise? And how is it for a girl going to the Muslim? Because we know for guys, they think they're going to get 66 virgins or something, 60 whatever,
So I think it's
67 virgins.
672.
62, 72. Okay, that's what it is. 72 virgins. So how is it being a girl growing up in Islam? Do you think what's the girl version of heaven?
I don't know, I guess. I guess like maybe we thought we'd be free.
They didn't teach you that? They didn't tell you what the girls are going to get in heaven?
No, they just tell us like about heaven in general, and then they tell us like about what the boys get, and then like, yeah, but wait, what do I get? And then they go, well, you're not doing this for heaven. You did this because you love Allah. And I'm like, yeah, but you gave the boys virgins. But I don't know. They don't really like emphasize, because this religion wasn't meant for women. It was during a time when like it was meant for people that like the women don't get a say in this, I guess.
It's really weird though. Like, how did you view? So your husband, he thought he was going to get 72 virgins, and how did that affect you? Thinking that, okay, like what, does he not love me, or he's gonna?
No, I don't think I cared.
72 virgins. You didn't care. Like you weren't. There's no jealousy of those 72 virgins in the future.
No, I don't think I care. I think, okay, like I have Asperger's. I don't think jealousy has ever been an issue for me. I didn't really think about it.
But you really believe that he was going to get 72 virgins in heaven? Was he all? Did he ever brag about that? He's like, I'm going to get 72 virgins.
No, I think though that you only get the 72 virgins if you're a martyr.
Oh.
So I don't think like it was like everyone gets them, I guess.
Okay. Did he ever like talk to you about his future plans of martyrdom, and like he was going to be a terrorist and blow people up?
Okay.
Did you have to like persuade him not to do that?
No, I don't think he's ever had any terrorist plans, but he was like really keen on the idea of like converting Westerners. But he didn't have like terrorist plans. He's a master of taqiyya, let me tell you. I've experienced it firsthand from him. That I think about it, I'm trying to think, like, this is someone I don't like, but I'm trying to be genuine here and think, is it something he'd be capable of? Capable, yes. Would he? No, because I think he, I don't think he would, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Here's another audience question. If she still practices ask her if she still practices Muslim cultural holidays like Ramadan, etc. Eid, E-I-D, you probably know what that is.
Yeah, it's Eid.
And also, has she heard of the 72 raisins interpretation version versus 72 virgins?
Okay.
Huh?
Okay, I see what you mean, but Huria in Arabic, no, at no point meant raisin. So when people like try to do, have you seen the interpretation? Well, there's certain words in Arabic that just never held other meanings, and this is just gonna be one of them. Well, the other meaning it held was actually a siren or a mermaid. So I don't know if they're getting mermaids or virgins, but it's the same thing.
Okay.
But
holidays. Holidays.
I have this like beautiful habit of like every time it's Ramadan, I love to take pictures of lunch, and because they don't eat lunch in Ramadan. But like last year when I was in Beirut, actually in Ramadan, we totally didn't even know it was Ramadan. But someone was like, "What are you up to?" And I sent them a picture of like 10 of my friends sitting down around the lunch table at like 1 in the like afternoon. And they're like, "Oh my God, it's Ramadan." And since then, I've just been doing that. Like every Ramadan, I feast a lot. But for Eid, I don't like, the only thing to celebrate in Eid as like growing up in a Muslim culture was that we get money. It's literally it. When you're a kid, the elders give you money. It's not like I recently spent Christmas in Colombia, and this Catholic family that I was with, like they speak. This was so awkward because they don't speak English, so it was all in Spanish. And they sat there at like 11:30, right before midnight, and they started reading the Bible in Spanish. And someone was crying, and someone was singing, and there was clapping as well. And it was like this ritualistic thing. And I'm just like petting the cat because I don't know Spanish. I just know it had to do with Jesus. But it isn't like that. Like Muslims are like the least spiritual people I've met in my life. They're not spiritual at all. Everything they do comes from this Bedouin culture of tradition and not from actual like spirituality. So I can't, there's nothing to celebrate in Eid because Eid is supposed to be this time when you go visit family and friends, and they give the children money. And then it's a very formal visit. Nothing special happens. No one asks intimate questions. You don't hug your family, and you don't go like, really tell me how you're doing. Eid is supposed to be the time when everyone pretends they're okay. So it's not really like something to celebrate. There's nothing really sentimental in it to begin with.
Okay. So you say Muslims are the least spiritual people. That's interesting. I'm curious about rape in and how that's viewed like in Islamic culture, because you see in Europe now there's like rape is like hugely on the rise, and you find statistically like a lot of the immigrants are committing these rapes. So I'm curious, is rape more common in
No,
Muslim countries, or
no.
are they only raping those girls because they're viewed as the infidels? And
Yeah, like in the Middle East, when there's one rape, you will know about it. Like in the entire country, if one rape happens and it goes reported, now I can't speak for any rape that's not reported, but if a rape happens and it goes reported, like the entire country hears about it. It's on the paper front page because there's there isn't really much rape going on that we hear
okay,
about. Some people
so
might be raped in
so
awkward situations and not talk about them. Like if a girl wasn't supposed to be somewhere, but she's told her parents she's obviously not going to tell them she got raped, then because then she'll get in trouble. So obviously there's a lot of not reported rape in the Middle East. I can say that, but there isn't. I don't see every female I know is afraid of her like for her life from rape in the Middle East. I don't think we grew up in a fear of rape at all.
Okay, so do you think like Muslim men, and of course we're not talking all, but just some of the ones that do rape, they're pretty much only exclusively raping non-Muslim women, they don't rape fellow
Okay.
Muslim women because that's against their
Uh,
religion.
let's be more specific. The only reason someone does not have sex in Islam is because they're virgin. Okay? So their idea is, and this will apply to Arab women as well. Muslim women, Arab women they don't have to be infidels. The idea is if she's not a virgin, then there's no problem with sex. Because what is she preserving? And
Oh,
so in the Middle East, you will see that girls who give off the vibe that they're not virgins will be treated differently than girls who are prudes. And the idea is, well, you already gave it up. What are you holding on to? You know, because apparently consent doesn't exist. Like, oh, you care who sleeps with you? Like they don't grasp the idea that yeah, maybe I do.
I see. So if you didn't want to get raped in the Middle East, you should try to pretend that you're a virgin, or
Yeah,
what is
well,
that?
if you didn't want to get raped, then
You
like
definitely wouldn't want to act like a slut.
either the way they see it is if you had sex in the first place, then why stop having sex? Like what's the point? So
Hmm.
I guess they don't feel bad raping a woman who's not a virgin
I see.
because to them she didn't lose anything in the process, because the most valuable thing she could have lost is not her consent, it's not her will over her body, it's not her like what's the word, like when something is important, the value of the sex itself. To them, all she could have lost from sex is virginity, and she's already lost that a while ago, so what's the point of not having sex? She lost nothing. They've taken away nothing from her.
Hmm. Paulina wants to know what projects you have in mind regarding the merging of machines and us biological frail beings. Are you like some mad scientist that's working on cyborg experiments in your dungeon?
Okay. I do. Do I think about this before I go to bed every night? Yes, I do. I think that my main goal is to try to collect what we've come so far into rebuilding the human body in science, and I don't think they'll ever let me do that. But my question is, how much can you replace in a person, and they can still while they still remain a person?
That's a good question. That's always my
Yeah.
concern.
So my project, I guess, like my scientific fantasy, is to collect all the science we've made so far and see if we can put that in one being. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, is replacing one limb the same as replacing two limbs? Do they still feel people? Do they still function? How far can we go on to organs and etc.? Which is why I'm studying orthotics and prosthetics. I'd like to in the future learn about not just the exterior body when it comes to orthotics, but as well as organs. But once I'm done with this, then I could look into more schools. I've taken 5 classes this semester, and it's ridiculous. But
So you're a
one
total
step at a time.
biohacker then.
One
You really
step at a
mean it
time.
when you talk about being a cyborg. Like, what would be your ideal cybernetic enhancement? What kind of superpowers would you want? If you
Oh,
could
I need
have
a third
anything.
arm. I need a third arm, really bad. And the reason so is because when I'm using both hands, I need to be able to drink or eat or vape or do something. But then I hate only having 2 arms. It's so inconvenient because of all the technology we have right now, requires 2 hands. So
A third arm would certainly make
now
it
I need a
easier to
third one.
multitask.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we have another question from the audience. Achuras asks, do you think the recent surge of popularity of alt-right and ethno-nationalism is fueled by regressive left and could be linked to anti-white narrative spread by social justice warriors?
No. Maybe, but I don't think it is. I think that the popularity is because we just gave people a platform to speak without being touched, and that is the internet. So you have these ideas that I would say have always existed. Okay, it's not like we have more white nationalists today than we had a while ago. Hi, Doggo. It's not like we have more white nationalists today than we had years ago. We have the same number. You just hear them more now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Would you consider yourself a nationalist? Like I consider myself a nationalist, not a white nationalist, but just a nationalist.
Okay, I'm trying to coin this
What-
term. I'm trying to make this term happen. A liberal nationalist. I'm trying to make
Oh,
that term. And let me tell you what it means. It means you get to choose where to be a nationalist. And I got to choose to be an American nationalist. It's a nation. I believe people should be allowed to immigrate as long as they show commitment to where they immigrated to. And that's what a liberal nationalist would be. And I like that term because it means I get to choose what country to love and go and love it.
I like that. I like it. Liberal nationalism.
Yeah, you just say that and then watch our minds explode.
Yes. So do you think Islam can reform itself like Christianity? Do you see
No.
any hope in that? Or do you think it's like structured in such a way where it just can't reform? What do you think?
And I think there's 2 reasons where it can't reform. One is that it is structured in a way it's actually against Islam to reform it. So you're kind of caught in a catch-22 if you try to reform it, because you're like, well, I want to change it, but it says right here that I can't change it, so stuck. Reason number 2 is if it hasn't changed in 1400 years, I don't think it's going to change now.
All right. Next question is, what do you think about Muslim feminists who call themselves Muslim feminists? Is there such a thing? I mean, you see a conflict there and contradictory ideas?
Yeah, like Muslim feminists only exist in non-Muslim countries. Is that a
That's a
surprise?
good that's a good point. Exactly. So they're kind of like parading around as like the poster child of a Muslim girl and how they're treated, but that's not true because it's just you should you should see people like your history. That's what really happens in a lot of
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah, like if you can be a Muslim feminist, then why aren't you like a feminist in Islam? Which are two different things, you know? Like it changes how you word it.
Mm-hmm. Someone else asks a question. They want to know, um, what do you think about rising nationalistic movement in Europe? Movement in Europe. Is nationalism a viable option to defeat the regressive left and Islam dogma spreading, or do you support other alternatives? Yeah, so what's like the best strategy to defeat the regressive left?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. What do you think about the rising nationalistic movement in Europe? Is it a viable option to defeat the regressive left and Islam dogma spreading, or do you support other alternatives?
I think it works, and but only if they're allowed to have a voice. Because like, okay, Islam is gonna be one of those things where you gotta put it in check, is the way I'd say it. And for the nationalist movements, that's what they do. They go, well, you know, this is my neighborhood, and I do what I want, and then they put the Muslims in check. But if they do that, and then the Muslim runs crying to Merkel, and Merkel shows up all cross-armed and goes, "You don't talk to my son like that," and then that works, then the Muslim goes, "I got to stay," you know, and then they get to stay, and then it doesn't work. So I think it only works if they're given the same amount of privilege that Muslims are given.
Totally.
Yeah.
So another thing you are really gung ho about is the Second Amendment. So explain to everyone, and I'm totally in agreement with you, but explain to everyone, why is it so important to have the Second Amendment?
To protect my first one. Because I get told to shut up like so often. This is just like, I'm literally just going to like open up my Twitter inbox.
And you get death threats, don't you?
This is like, can you see this?
Oh my gosh. I hope you put it. Let me go back to you. Let me just, okay. I hope you die a very slow, painful death. I can't read the rest. You have to read it to me.
I hope you watch your life be in the hands of someone else and they take it and snuff your light out. Full stop, new line, cunt. And I just said rude. This is just like, I literally, all I had to do was just open my Twitter, and this could go on for so long. I get these a lot, and I think that it takes less time to pull out a gun than it is to wait for the cops. I don't want a gun so I can shoot people. No, I want a gun so I can protect myself, which is two different things. I don't want to go out shooting. I want to protect myself. And if you, just because you're trying to, when they try to stop people who are trying to go out shooting, they're also stopping people who are trying to protect themselves. So I just feel like it's more important to allow people to protect themselves. So it's really important to have the gun laws, because the reason why we have gun laws is that so we can actually also stand up against the government if we needed to.
Yeah.
Like, this is what liberals don't understand. Liberals are like, oh, Big Brother is bad, but you can't have a gun, but Big Brother can have a gun. And I'm like, You just contradicted everything. Like, it doesn't work like that. No, I need a gun. Not to protect myself against bad people, but to protect myself against anyone who tries to take away any of my rights.
Do
Then
you think
run with
most
a sick gun.
do you think most of those death threats are coming from moderate Muslims or extreme Muslims? What would you say?
Some of them are not even Muslim.
Really?
Yeah.
Who else is sending you death threats?
The leftists like to send me death threats, and
Oh,
the leftist ones don't really bother me because I'm like, what are you gonna do? You don't even have a gun, right? But the Muslim ones do bother me. This is my protector.
because you take them more seriously.
Yeah. That cane has a sword in it, and that's like my
Oh,
weapon.
wow.
Um,
And do you have any gun training?
I've been to shooting ranges a few times, and I've like shot in my backyard when I lived somewhere out in nowhere. I wouldn't call it training. I would call it I know how to shoot a gun and not miss, and that's good enough. Like, if I'm trying to protect myself, I don't really care if I kill them. I just need them to slow down to not kill me. I'm not trying to kill people. I'm trying to stay alive. So I don't know. I have
Self-defense.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and I have a tear gas gun. So
So I want your opinions of some people. So we got your opinion on Hillary Clinton. What's your opinion of Angela Merkel?
oh my God, I think Angela Merkel is like I keep like floating between is she sinister or just stupid? And I seriously cannot decide if she's sinister or stupid. And I think she might be like so naive. She's just really naive. Because like if she's sinister, she'd realize that something is bad. And if she knew something is bad, she would know it's bad for her too. But if you don't realize all of that, then you're just plain out naive. I think
Yeah, she like it's weird. I feel like she has some guilt complex about the Nazis and like she's trying to make up for it by just letting her nation get invaded. It's crazy to me.
But how does that like guilt complex even like that's what honestly like okay now that I think about it I know a German who also has this like very leftist idea because of the guilt complex and like I can't stand this guy because he like when he talks about the Holocaust he doesn't say the Nazis he says we. I'm like your
Wait,
family
he says what?
we
Oh,
WE. So they're taught that they did this. And I'm like, you had
yeah.
nothing to do with it. Like, you weren't even born. Why are you doing this to yourself? And then he can't, like, once I say that, he shuts up. He can't hear me.
They're blurring the past and the present into one. Just like people do with slavery sometimes. It's like, yeah, we didn't, you can't say we did slavery like
Yeah,
you're just blaming white people or something. It's like it's over. I didn't have anything to do with it, so don't blame me.
no one goes to Qatar to complain about this. They still have slaves.
Yep, that's a good point.
Which,
Isn't
by the
isn't
way,
there something in Muslim culture against black people? Isn't it like kind of racist? I think I remember hearing something about that.
yeah, apparently black people. So folklore or Islam, I wouldn't vouch, but I've heard this from a lot of like Muslims who were totally convinced that this is the truth. I can't vouch for whether this is an essential part of Islam, but I know that it's a part of Muslims because I've heard a lot of Muslims say it. Apparently, like when Noah built his ark, one of his sons or someone claimed to be faithful to God, but wasn't really, but he pretended to be so he can get on the ark. And then after the flood, because after he saw the flood, he still didn't believe in God. I don't know how that worked out in the story. But after the flood, he said to Noah, like, oh, I fooled you. I was just trying to get on your ark. And then Noah said, oh, I pray to God that for the eternity of life, you and your bloodline are cursed to be known as traitors or like liars, deceivers, basically. And so God made them black. And then that way, like whatever you see one, you know he's the son of Noah's traitor. So like, it's
All
not
right, we
even
have
a good story.
Yeah. Well, we have another audience question. What changes would you make to the Borg? Also, ask her about the Borg Queen. All right. So, what's about the Borg Queen?
Okay.
You have a fascination with the Borg?
I am like madly in love with Borg. Someone very special got me this mug, and I love it.
Isn't the Borg kind of reminds me of like a cult, like Islam, like it would be the Borg, like assimilate, and they're trying to just conquer the whole world.
Maybe it's Stockholm syndrome got me looking for for something. But no, I love the Borg because now this is like the lesser known part of me. I am like, my Asperger's makes me ridiculous when it comes to efficiency. Like my pet peeves are anything that's not efficient or doesn't have a purpose. I end up getting really irritated and throwing a tantrum no one wants to see. But
did you like officially get diagnosed with Asperger's?
Yeah, by 4 different doctors in 4 different countries. Well,
but I know it's on a scale,
states.
and socially you don't seem socially awkward at all. Like I would picture an Asperger's person. It's
no,
mild.
it's mild.
Very mild.
Also, like Asperger's isn't the same as autism, so it's not like a lot of people I've met who have Asperger's are actually social.
Okay.
We're just socially wrong. we're not antisocial though. But I love the Borg because of how efficient they are. Nothing that doesn't have a purpose happens in Borg world. They don't do anything without a purpose. Mm. And I really like that, like about like it's so Orwellian. I do understand how I could be like contradictory in the sense of, oh, I love America, liberty for all, but I love this socialist world that the Borg live in. But there's something so appealing to me about how their purpose is to evolve. Like that's why they exist. That's what they do every day. Someone dies, don't hold a funeral, scrap them. And that's the way we're gonna do things.
Efficiency. I like that.
Yeah, I love the efficiency. It's just so good.
Especially, it's so important to have that efficient mindset with eternal life. Like, how are you managing your time? What are you doing? Like, everything should be about living forever. I mean, that's my view. I'm like the Borg of eternal life. I'm trying to figure it out and be efficient, right?
They do it, and they're always trying to evolve. That's why they go around the galaxy looking for new technologies, because they need those technologies because it makes them better. So they're constantly trying to better it. Like the whole point of them is to better.
Yeah, there's something, I agree. There's something very beautiful about like a robotic mind of just doing everything very calculated. They're almost like perfectionists. You could say the Borg are perfectionistic mentality of
I totally
perfection. It's very robotic.
I totally
That's
like
cool.
like I totally like if Data was my dad and Borg Queen was my mom, I like this, what is heaven like for me? That would be it.
So like what do you think about the future of AI and artificial intelligence? Do you think if we created AI, are the AI going to be our friends, or are the AI just going to destroy us all and terminate us because we're not efficient and they don't want us?
I don't know to what extent we can give them conscious, because out of all, like most animals don't have conscious. So what makes us think that some AI is going to have conscious? Because conscious isn't the same as intelligence.
That's true. It could be very intelligent and yet maybe have no consciousness.
Yeah,
right?
It's called AI, not AC. So it's artificial intelligence. They could be very intelligent, but they could still lack consciousness. And if they lack consciousness, then we have nothing to worry about.
Well said. Unless they lack consciousness, but then they're programmed to do evil things and just to kill us all. It's all about their programming at that point.
Then we don't have to worry because we can see it coming, like we know what's happening. If we program them, we know what's happening. But what we have to worry about the most is consciousness. This is why, like, humans' worst enemy is human, because we don't know what the other person is thinking, and they are self-aware and they're aware of us, which is why we have war and art and poetry and everything, because You have to be aware of something in order to create it, whether it's good or bad. So as long as the AI is not aware, then they can't do anything.
All right. Somebody wants to know, what's your favorite YouTube channels and content creators?
Um, I there's like I like the channels that have to do with like people who make things. So like I watch this channel with like this really old guy who makes stuff out of wood, like lawn chairs. It's just like like I
Interesting.
like I like these channels that have stuff like Japanese candies. I sometimes I mean unless you're specifically talking about people who give me useful content, because I most of the things I watch are just like making stuff. Or there's this channel that oh my god, I forgot what it's called, but I'm subscribed to it on my other computer. It's this guy like goes out in the woods and he does everything from scratch, from the shelter to like the tools he used to make the shelter and everything. It's like super cool, and I love those channels.
So kind of like Bear Grylls.
Yeah, but this guy is like more hardcore than Bear Grylls, like
Oh,
much
wow.
more hardcore than Bear Grylls.
Wow. So that's always useful to know, like survival stuff. I
Yeah,
relate to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like watching that stuff.
All right. Next question. Somebody wants to know your opinion on Trump. I guess we covered that a little bit, but any more thoughts on Trump and illegal immigrants?
I think illegal immigrants are really bad for the country, whether the country is left or right, socialist or capitalist. Illegal immigrants can't work because you can't plan a party without knowing who's attending. We RSVP to parties. It's the same thing to a country. You can't plan the country if you don't know who's there. We don't know how to build a structure. If we have a certain number of people, we're going to build a structure to accommodate those people. But now if we have twice as number, then we have a problem right there, because we didn't plan to accommodate them. See, if we knew they were coming, we've baked more cake, but we didn't. So we need to know.
Yeah, I think it's so important too, just from a safety standpoint. Like, yeah, I mean, they could be terrorists coming in. I mean, what do you think about building the wall? Do you think Trump's actually going to build the wall?
Yes, I think
I hope
I
so.
think I really hope so. And I think that the wall is like, it should be embarrassing for them that we have to build a wall. Because it's kind of like how many times did we have to tell you, please don't jump over this line, before we actually had to treat you like babies and put up a wall?
Yeah, I think it's so important. Oh yeah, you mentioned about President Assad. I want you to talk about this. You actually like President Assad in your interviews. You
Yes,
talk about him. So why do you like President Assad?
because he gave us the only secular Arab country.
Oh, okay. I wasn't even
Yeah.
aware.
In Syria, you could have walked down the street, cussed God all you want. You weren't allowed to cuss the government, but I mean, like, honestly, I'd rather have a country where you could do that, because then, like, then at least you could be you. You just have to be you in this country.
So in Syria, they don't have. It's a predominantly Muslim country, right? But they don't have Sharia law, is what you're saying,
No,
right?
yeah, that's why the Muslims are angry, because they're the majority, but they don't have a like they felt like the country didn't represent them. Syria is actually the only Arab country that has an annual atheist convention, by the way. And guests
Wow.
and guests at the convention are allowed to sign in anonymously, and the president's guard is ordered every year to go out and protect the convention.
Wow, that's great.
It's the
I
only Arab country that does that. I don't even think like America does that when it comes to the president saying, "I'm going to send my national guard because I actually want like this convention to be safe."
Wow, President Assad rocks. Okay, so it sounds like we need a lot more President Assads in the Arab world, and we need more countries adopting the Syrian way of doing things. They're
Yeah,
secular.
I agree. We had a don't criticize the government rule going on, but I feel like that is fully justified, because I don't know. So the majority of the country is Muslim, and there is at some point where you have to wonder, is the majority right or is the minority right? And the government was the minority, and even though the non-Muslim people were the minority, we still the Muslims were allowed to be free when we're in power. But if they're in power, we won't be allowed to be free. So our reasoning is, yes, we know we're a minority, but we're right because now we're both free. But so that's why we were content with the fact that we don't want people criticizing the government, because we knew that if we allowed it, it would the majority will win. But
Mm-hmm.
in this case, when the majority wins, it was a bad thing.
I see. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah, like Sharia law, that would be like, that's the worst thing. That's what we're
Um,
trying to prevent. We don't want Sharia law in America. Do you think there's eventually going to be a time in Europe when they have Sharia law and like Europe gets literally overtaken and becomes a Muslim country? And
I think they already like have Sharia law. The
really?
fact, yeah, the fact that these like the fact that women are scared to dress in their normal European attire just shows you that it's too late.
Wow. What do you think about the burqa ban? Should that happen in your opinion, or is that
Yeah, I think
encroaching
it's
on
good.
freedom of religion?
No,
You
I
think it's
think
good?
that should happen because, like, okay, first of all, they can't even prove that their religion wants it. First of all, okay, so that, like, I can't just make up something and say, well, it's my religion, because I could make up anything and say, well, it's my religion. So they can't prove that their religion really wants it. Second of all, it's actually dangerous. Like, there is actual hazards of it.
Yeah, true. Like you need to like
Identify
you can't
people.
walk around with a ski mask on, right? Or
Yeah, yeah, this is
it's
ridiculous.
like
In Florida, I'm not allowed to wear a mask in public, but then they see women in burqas, and I'm like, well, like it's just it's so
I mean, I
mean.
guess there should be. I think there should probably be like zones in cities like that are designated like public zones where you can't wear ski masks and you can't wear face veils, but like in public areas, in rural areas, probably it should be allowed. What do you I mean? Don't you think?
I mean,
Or do
if
you
you,
think it should just be banned across the entire, like everywhere in Europe,
I
just
think
no burqas?
I think anywhere where I am subjected to public surveillance, they should be subjected to public surveillance. So if I
Oh,
go into the mall, I don't care how rural it is. If I go into a mall and there's a CCTV camera that sees my face, it should see their face too.
that's that sounds pretty good. Seems fair. It seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Fairness. Well, I guess that they would say, well, you could. No one's stopping you from wearing a burqa if you don't want to be.
I think we should like have a day where we all wear burqas. Good luck, police. To really show
Ooh,
the state, like to show the state the danger of this, just everyone wear a burqa. Like we'll pick one day a year where we all wear a burqa, and then if they come up to you, just be like, "It's my religion. This is a burqa. It's not a mask."
I like the statement of that. It's kind of. It reminds me of the Draw Muhammad Day.
I think, yeah, wear a burqa. They watch confused police trying to catch someone. Now they can't because everyone's wearing a burqa.
Would you ever participate in the Draw Muhammad Day, or would you be too afraid to? I think I'd be too afraid. I'm
I
such
mean,
a scaredy cat.
like how bad? I've drawn Muhammad before. Um, and what are they gonna do? Like threaten me again?
But would you like make a YouTube video where you're drawing Muhammad? Like Jacqueline Glenn did that. Like she's an atheist on YouTube and she drawed Muhammad on a YouTube video. That's really dangerous to me. I think that's how Islam works, by intimidating people like this, right?
Um,
They make everyone too afraid to criticize and do anything. Oh, I can't draw Muhammad. I have to, you know. That's how they operate. That's how it's crazy. Um, so I want to know about your future plans.
Here's my drawing.
Oh, wait a second. Oh my gosh. Wow.
There we
Muhammad
go.
and Aisha.
It's
Oh
literally a
gosh.
stick figure. Like, who's gonna get upset at that?
Well, if you thought you were going to get death threats before, well, you just wait. Now you're really on the hit list. That
Yeah.
maybe was not smart. Okay, but let's hope that doesn't happen. Um, forget you guys just saw that. Any Muslims that are watching right now, you didn't see that. Okay, you
that
didn't
that
see that.
this was just some random guy with a little girl, you know. If it reminds you of someone, maybe it's your fault. I thought you said she wasn't 9, so why would you think this is him?
Yeah, exactly. Aisha was 25 years old. That couldn't have been Aisha. That was obviously a 6-year-old. So, um, so yeah, tell us about your like future plans. Are you going to be like, I don't know, like a Pamela Geller type of person going around the world and spreading this message and trying to increase your message against, what's your main thing you want to do with
I
your
want
life?
to separate. Well, I mean, I want to become a cyborg like really bad. The main thing in my life,
Of course,
career-wise,
besides
okay,
living forever
yeah.
is your main thing.
So like, what I want to do for myself is become a cyborg. Obviously, what I want to do for other people is I want to separate Islam from being Muslim from being Arab, because I am like, okay, the jokes aren't funny when people like see me and they think like, and they like, okay, I have this like professor at school, a leftist liberal professor, mind you, he's supposed to be the leftist liberal, so he's supposed to be the open-minded one. And I told him I'm Arab, and he keeps asking me about Muslims, and I'm like, I never told you I'm Muslim, like, why would you keep asking me about Muslims? And he's like, you're not Muslim, okay, but tell me about the Muslim. I'm like, why? Stop asking me, I'm not Muslim, like, stop picking on me. And like, I hate that even the people who claim to be the most open-minded cannot distinguish between an Arab and a Muslim. And it pisses me off so much because we were Arabs before we were Muslim. I want to be a proud Arab, but I don't want to be a Muslim, and then I'm forced to like be
I
that.
see that's got to be annoying.
Yeah.
Probably just get people thinking you're Muslim all the time, huh?
Oh my God, it's like it's so annoying.
The nose ring probably helps, just so you know don't get and like looking with the tattoos and that's gonna help your case that
see,
people
like,
are not gonna assume you're Muslim.
the things I do to not look Muslim.
That's great. That's great. Keep it up.
I
Do whatever you
actually,
can.
so I gotta grab this. My latest scheme at not looking Muslim. Hold on.
All right, let's see what else questions you guys got. So many comments in the live chat. It's hard to keep up with it.
Yeah, I'm back. So I wear this to school every day. I'm not even Jewish.
Oh, I like. Good idea.
I wear this like every day. And my name is Sarah, so that helps, sell it. So just people would like I'm just at a point where like when people ask me where I'm from, like I want to say Arab, but I want to also say Syrian, but I also like don't want to say something that stands for Muslim, so I can't say Arab because Arab is associated with Muslim. So I have to say Syrian because then they can assume I'm Jewish.
That's cool. So there's a lot of Jewish people in Syria?
Yeah, they had Jewish people. But this has been my disguise, guys.
Awesome. You need like a little yarmulke too. Not only guys do that. No.
I also like when there's people that I know only like casually, formally, I mean like like classmates or something. They know I'm from the Middle East. They don't want to ask where, so I'll like throw in stuff like, oh, the Sabbath about Saturdays, and I'll wear that.
You know what you need? You need like a shirt that says, I'm not a Muslim. Just write it on there. Just spell it out for people. People are slow.
I bought this fabric recently to make like overalls or something. I don't know. I'm really trying to like.
Oh, wow.
I bought this fabric.
pro-Israel.
I
So I
know.
take it you're pro-Israel, right?
I don't even care. I don't even care. But they're the only people that look like me. So that's like the only thing I can pass as. Like either that or like Italian, but not really that much Italian. So I have to go with the like I have to go with the Jewish look.
So like growing up Muslim, was there, I'm sure there's a lot of anti-Semitism, right? Because that's one of the
Yeah.
things about Muslim cultures. They're kind of can you explain that for people? Why are Muslims, obviously not all, but some Muslims, a large percent of them seems like they're against Jews, which is crazy to me, but why is that?
I think because like I'm sorry, but I think it's because Jews are not cucks. Like Jews are the only people who won't let you step over their traditions. Everyone else lets them. Everyone else lets the Muslims. Really, there's no one sitting there like not being an apologist for Muslims, except the Jews. The Jews still have strong traditional values, and it's because of that that the Muslims can't get along with them, which is ridiculous because they're cousins.
That is ridiculous. But what is weird about the Jews is that some Jews, a lot of them seem to be really pro-immigration, which is weird to me. Have
because
you noticed that?
because their culture is not at stake, and this is
Yeah, it's like
a
when it
little
comes to
bit
Israel,
weird.
they want borders and stuff, but when it comes to America, it's like they're like, yeah, no, we shouldn't have a wall, and let's have
Okay,
mass immigration. That's kind of
what's
fishy.
something that I mean, not to point fingers, guys, but like when you watch TV and then you watch some movie that highly promotes um, like romantic diversity. I don't know what to call it, right? And then
Hmm.
like, okay, when you find out that the writer or the director or the producer is Jewish or any of the above, you find out that they're not in a diverse relationship. You find out their kids are not, their relatives are not. So if they're promoting diversity so much, if they're so comfortable with it, then why aren't they in it? And my final conclusion is that they have such strong traditions that they are not intimidated. So I think um, that's the thing. Like Jewish Americans are Jewish first, American second, most of the time. This is why like Israel has birthright. You could be from anywhere in the world, but you could go to Israel, but Israel could still be your home.
Hmm.
And this is something that other cultures don't have.
Yeah, you think like part of the reason Europe is being so open to being invaded is because like it's like they've lost their culture, they've lost their identity. I've heard this idea put out there is that they've lost their roots. They don't feel like
Yeah.
they don't really have a culture, so they're just like, oh, let's just let in other cultures, diversity and all this stuff.
But Europe does have a culture. It's just been stripped out of its culture throughout the years. It didn't happen overnight because they do have like a very beautiful culture, like the Celtic culture. I love, you asked me what YouTube creators I like. There's actually a composer, like a Celtic music composer I love on YouTube. Their art, there's the European art. They have their music in Eastern Europe as well. They have culture, and it didn't happen overnight. It just throughout time it stopped happening. I'm sure there's like some interesting anthropological, sociological, explanation about it, being that they have different cultures, but they looked a little bit similar, so that they got mixed up. So, once you lose culture, you don't stop losing it. You just go slippery slope.
Somebody wants to know your thoughts on the Illuminati. Interesting question.
Is it because of my hat? uh, I think
You're a secret member of the Illuminati, aren't
yeah,
you?
that hat right there actually has the symbol right on front, right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does. It's on
Oh,
my.
that's funny.
You can see it on my Instagram. I love that hat. Man, I think if Illuminati was a real thing, I'd like to be Illuminati probably. If what we hear is right, I'd like to be on the winning side. If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, depends on the perks, right? If you get eternal life, I'm down for it. You know what I'm
Yeah, I don't
saying?
care how many babies you gotta eat. I'm just kidding.
But you know what? The Edward Snowden guy behind you, he seems to be kind of. What do you think about him? You like Edward Snowden? Do you think that he? Yeah, what do you think about Edward Snowden? Because I watched
Uh,
a movie about Edward Snowden. Did you see the new movie?
no, I didn't.
Okay, yeah, there's a new movie with about Edward Snowden. It has Shailene Woodley and another guy, but you have him in your wall, so I figure you must have some opinions about him.
I have him. Hold on, please. I have him next to a few like. Everything on my wall is kind of connected. Like I have a poster right here. This one says World War III has already started, and everything kind of connects. Edward Snowden is put right next to a poster that says, "When I was growing up in the 20th century, revolution seemed significant." And then there's the "Don't Tread on Me," and then there's Edward Snowden and Trump, and I feel like they all kind of like have the new American is, I don't know how to put it, like the American is free, and then something went wrong along the way. But they shouldn't rest easy because the American is still free. We've just been kind of silent, maybe.
And
But
now with Trump, we're gonna get even more free.
I know
Right?
it's the silent majority.
Yeah. Well, what do you think's the most important thing Trump's gonna do in office in these next 4 years? And do you predict that he's gonna get reelected or not? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's gonna get reelected. It's been a while since like someone didn't get reelected, hasn't it? I think it's a pattern now.
Yeah,
We
Obama
just
got
want-
reelected. Didn't Bush get reelected? He did, didn't he?
Yeah. I think he's gonna get reelected because like we can't get enough winning. Like that's the Trump people.
You're not gonna get tired of winning?
Yeah, we're not gonna get tired of winning. We're just gonna win again. And obviously, the fact that a lot of us went out and voted Trump the first time shows that we want Trump in office. And I have very high expectations. I think Trump is gonna turn out better than we thought. Because I think a lot of us kind of like have had a Trump novelty effect, where we like the red hat and we like the Pepe memes, and we're like, we're gonna go out and vote Trump. But I think once our lives improve, then we're gonna be a little bit more grown up in 4 years. And I see a lot of youth into Trump, and those youth couldn't vote this year because they weren't old enough. But in 4 years, they will be. So in 4 years, we get the popular vote too.
And unless like the college system is pretty good at in training people into the liberal mindset. So whatever type of person they have against Trump might be more attracted to the youth if the youth is all brainwashed in these colleges, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are very social justice warrior-y and very pro-feminism and all this sort of thing.
Something I've noticed in college is that the people who appear to be most SJWE to me are turning out to be conservative. I made a friend in college who's a lesbian conservative pro-Trump chick. I met her on debate team. People in my class who like would look like they just dropped off Tumblr are actually pretty right-wing. And I'm kind of hopeful about that.
Totally.
Yeah.
So would you consider yourself a conservative? Like Milo Yiannopoulos, right? He considers himself. Are you pretty much politically aligned with Milo Yiannopoulos? Or is there any ways you disagree with Milo? I'm curious. Because you went to for people who don't know, you guys should check her YouTube channel where she has this video where she was at a Milo Yiannopoulos thing and she asked him a question and it was so cool. She got a huge applause. It was like a special moment.
I never got an answer to my question though. That's the problem.
It's almost like it was like it's spoke for itself. It's like a rhetorical thing.
No, but I actually did have a question. I had a question that day, which was, how come we always see Ivanka Trump on the news, but we never see Chelsea Clinton? And what would it take to get Chelsea Clinton on the news and ask her what she thinks of her parents, the same way they do with Ivanka? Never got an answer.
Huh. Well, why do you think, if you had to try to answer that question yourself? Maybe it's because Ivanka's more pretty. Chelsea Clinton's is not real good, not really attractive.
And not TV material.
Yeah, you know, sex sells.
I don't know, but we got so much Ivanka. People were asking her, what do you think of your dad? What do you think of your dad's politics? Not once did we get Chelsea and people asking, what do you think of your mom's politics?
That is weird. Yeah, it's strange.
And that was my question.
Maybe because Chelsea, they know Chelsea's against her mom, and they didn't want to drudge that up. They're like, let's keep that quiet.
What if Chelsea voted Trump? We don't know. They didn't ask her.
Yeah, it would make sense because Chelsea's very good friends with Ivanka. Chelsea might be like more of a conservative Ivanka type of Trump person. Wouldn't that be something?
We're turning. Okay, you just turned your channel into one of those conspiracy channels.
Oh yeah, this is going to be the latest conspiracy. Thanks to you. I didn't even think about this.
But that was my question that day at the rally. Not the rally. I mean, at the thing, and he never answered that. And he said, well, I think the most important question is, will Chelsea be running the Clinton Foundation? I was like, well, that wasn't even my question. Stop clapping. I want an answer. It's like everyone just kept clapping. You're like, no.
Have you been in any more Milo conventions since then?
No, I don't think he's been in Tampa since then.
What's your opinion on feminism in how it relates to Islam and mass immigration? Because I get this from seeing the world. I get this picture that feminists are in a large part to blame for what's happening in Europe, right? Because it's those feminists who are very pushing for like diversity and multiculturalism and let's open the borders and all in the name of social justice and equality and everything. Would you say it's fair to say that feminism is could be quite lethal to a nation if it gets out of control?
I think feminism went wrong when it got mixed up with trying to save other people instead of just trying to save women. Because I would have loved to be a feminist. I want to go home and save all my sisters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not real sisters, I don't have any, just disclaimer. But now, they just hijack this movement where, if you're feminist, you gotta also, take care of everyone else. And I'm like, but that wasn't part of the title. It's literally not part of the title, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's nothing wrong with feminism on its own. There's absolutely everything wrong with feminism once it gets mixed up with everything else.
Yeah, it is kind of strange that the feminists, they're kind of silent a lot of times when it comes to the oppression of women in Middle Eastern cultures and Muslim countries, right? But it's
because that's what goes wrong. They get confused. Hold on. Muslims are a minority. We're standing up for all minorities. Women aren't even a minority, which is ridiculous because we have nothing in common with Muslims. We are 52% of the world population. So how are we on par with them? We're not a minority. Feminists need to realize they're not protecting a minority. They're protecting a gender. Okay. But then they get mixed up and they're like, well, we're going to stand up for all the minorities. And we're like, you never stood up for a minority because you're not one. So what are you talking about? But they won't listen. And then they get mixed up with the Muslims. And this is where they get confused, right?
Yeah, they have a lot of cognitive dissonance going on. And now it's like they have, like Milo says, they have the oppression pyramid, right? And they put Muslims now at the top of the hierarchy.
Exactly. This is what goes wrong is now they reach a point where they're like, well, this woman is in bad condition, but she's more privileged as a person than this Muslim is. Because the Muslim, she's just a result of the Muslims, right? So the Muslims are the more like the sadder people. They need us more, so we'll stand with them. And then they don't realize that like, yo, you just like shat on your title. And I think that's very shitty because I'd love to be a feminist, but now I can't use that title because they used it for something else, you know?
Mm. So, you recently gave up pork, or you gave up all meat, right? And that was not for health reasons. It was because why was that? Explain that.
Like I petted a cow and it reminded me of my dog. And then I was like, oh my God, like this goes into a farm, and in the farm, like it's destined to die, and then they take the baby away from its mom, and then like it never gets to know love. And I thought that was like the saddest thing ever, because how could we be like, oh, we're so angry at the Matrix, but then totally conceal the concept of love away from a calf? Because we just put them in a matrix where love doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like none of that exists. So you have this like soul that is born and lives its entire life without being introduced to a concept that that is so like part of soul, but we just never introduce it to it. And I think that's just like, it would go against my red pilled mentality if we are intentionally like having these animals blue pilled. Then how can I say, well, you know, red pill is the way to go?
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of out of just compassion then.
It's just like I don't want to give them money. Like I still eat meat if someone gives it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I eat meat if it's hunted from the wild. And like if I go to someone's house and they have meat served, I'm not like, I don't complain. I'm still gonna eat it. But I'm just personally not going to give money to the farming industry because I don't want to like give them my money. Because I feel like it's equivalent to shaking hands with them, and I don't want to shake hands with them. Someone else can, that's up to them. They don't have to live with that. I don't have to live with their conscience, but I live with mine, and I don't want to shake hands with them.
Awesome. And you used to be like a big pork eater, so now you don't eat much pork. So this is going to be good for your health. I'm against eating pork.
I mean,
so that's one area the Muslims got right, if you ask me.
I don't know. I'm eventually gonna get a hunting permit and get me some boar.
So you really just love the pork? You just love the taste of it? What's so appealing about it?
I think it's the fat.
Oh, the fat. What you need is some grass-fed butter. That'll satisfy your fat needs, and then you won't have to eat this pork.
And I just get butter from Aldi's. I don't know if it's grass-fed. I get the cheap one.
Well, I got to get some grass-fed. It's important.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the thing with the dairy and well, I don't really consume dairy anyways because I'm not lactose intolerant. I actually have an allergy to dairy itself. So
interesting.
It's very mild. Like I can eat dairy, but it will make me slightly sick. But so I don't really consume a lot of dairy, so I don't think about that a lot. But when it comes to eggs, I'm trying to buy only free range because then at least I feel like the chickens got the idea of love.
That's nice. I want to take some more audience questions. Let's see here. What do you not like about your gender? That's an interesting question.
What I don't like giving birth. Like I've never given birth. But I think that like, okay, first I'm supposed to like be physically possessed by some human for 9 months. I would have constant anxiety if I was pregnant. And then like push it out, and then that sounds like terrifying. And then it wants to shit itself and suck on my tit. No. Like I think like giving birth is like this like ridiculous. Who designed that? Like who came up with that idea? Seriously. I think it's just so stupid. Maybe like I wish we could lay eggs or something.
That's a really good one. Honestly, if I was a girl, I would be afraid to have children too.
I would be like screaming for 9 months because there's a human living inside of me. Like the movie, I've seen Alien, and this is exactly how I imagine it.
Oh yeah, it's freaky. I mean, I think some women still die in childbirth, so it could be dangerous. You know,
Yeah, and
that's what. Yeah.
I hate like one thing I hate the most about I wanna like okay, we on the right don't like to discuss topics that have to do with social pressure and constructs and roles, imposed on us by society. But there is one I really hate, and the one that is that people always tell me that when I have kids, I'll change my mind about kids. And everyone tells me that, like everyone. And I'm thinking like, dude, what if I don't? You just basically like tricked someone who hates kids into having kids, and then you're gonna end up with like some miserable kids somewhere. I honestly like I'm never gonna deny that as a woman, I feel I'm always told that I will have a motherly instinct. I'm like, yes, I
Hmm.
have one towards my dog, and I should have one towards kids I adopt. I just don't want to make kids, but people insist that I should.
Okay, speaking of your dog and children, here's a hypothetical question for you. If you had to choose between saving the life of your dog or a random human child, which would you pick?
My dog.
Really?
Justified. Justified. First of all, he's a service dog, so he provides me with a service. Okay. All right, he's not here, but he is useful to me. As opposed to the 7 billion people on Earth, I'm kind of like maybe he's useful to me. I think he's important. Service dog. We've talked about this before.
Oh, okay. Did I already ask you that question? I asked that
Yeah.
question to everyone. I try to sneak it in there. Yeah.
I mean,
That's weird.
why would I save a stranger?
I guess because of human potential, that human beings are just more valuable because
That's a
we
risk,
we
though.
we know ourselves are, so you'd want to extend, like if you know you're valuable and you love yourself, you'd hopefully extend that to other human beings before an animal. It's kind of like speciesism. I'm a speciesist, so I just think, oh well, humans, we're obviously the best, we're the superior, we're the supreme species on the planet. Let's
Has everyone?
favoritism to our own
Yeah,
species.
but you're taking a gamble there because not everyone I met has been useful. But I know so far my dog has been useful to me. So would I
Yeah.
gamble? It's kind of like I don't know if it's worth a gamble.
Yeah. Well, it could be me though. See that person. Oh no, I
You're
said a
not a
random human
child.
child.
Yeah.
Would yeah, would it change if it was a random adult human? I mean,
Yeah.
would your answer change? It
Yeah.
would?
Yeah.
Well, how would it change?
All right. Well, the human child, I guess we haven't invested into them that much yet. So resource-wise, we don't lose as much.
Wow, so you would actually pick the adult human over your dog.
Well, at that point, the adult human, I would actually have to stop and think about it because that human could be a doctor, but they could also be a bum, and like, but there's a chance they're a doctor, so there's a chance they're useful. But I don't think the child is useful, like because then like, whatever they could have become, someone else could have become too. So they haven't become it yet. It isn't real yet, so I can't count it.
Wow, you really have it out against children. What is it that you don't like about children so much? This is unique and interesting.
I don't hate children. I just want to point out I don't hate them. Okay. I just think that like, I mean, there's so many of them. Gosh, I actually really want to become a foster parent someday. But to like not to babies, but to like ages 13 and above.
Okay.
Yeah, that is like, if I could have only one life goal between having like the land in the Middle East or becoming a cyborg or anything, I would actually choose to have a home and foster kids. I really want that. But so I don't hate kids. I
So
just
it's
think
more
they're
just like really young kids that you don't like. But
it's just
13, after 13, you kind of like them.
yeah, because after 13 we can kind of like start reading their potential, whether they're useful or not. Also, we've invested over a decade into them, so can't abort them now. Uh,
I think in Jewish culture, in Jewish tradition, that's when a human gets their soul, like 13. I think I heard that somewhere.
that's when they become like an adult. I don't know if they get their soul, but I would like
Speaking of,
that.
oh, go ahead.
I said I would like that. Like I would like that idea. That's something I could get on board with.
If you had a foster child, what would you name it?
I go. You don't get to name your foster children. You don't get to name them.
You don't get to rename your foster child? Rename it
think
anything you want?
I don't think I can, but I do have 5 names that I love. And those are Sebastian, Alexander, Layla, and Danya, and Nayara.
Cool. I like them. That's a good name. You're a good name picker.
I have like each one has a very specific reason. Sebastian, because I love Johann Sebastian Bach. He's my favorite composer. And Alexander because
What was the last name there? Bach? What was that?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Bach? Is that
but
short for Bach?
No,
I know Bach.
Yeah, but don't you pronounce it Bach? Isn't
Oh.
it like German or something? And you're supposed to pronounce it.
It could be. I could have been pronouncing it wrong my whole life. I always pronounced it Bach, and I'm like, I don't know. You're probably right.
I thought
Okay.
you pronounced it with like a sound.
So you like classical music a lot. That's cool.
I do. I have a record player and a lot of classical music.
Do you like Moonlight Sonata? That's one of my favorites.
I do. I think my favorite of all time is I forget like the actual name of it, but the one we call Love Story. Because when I was a kid, it was by Beethoven, I think. And then when I was a kid, I had a little like music box on my bed right next to my shoulder. And I'd like turn the little thing and I would hear it and it was so cute.
Oh, I'm gonna check that one out. Love Story. That's okay.
I love the little music boxes that you turn the little thing and the cogs turn and the little metal fingers do the thing. I love those so much.
Yeah, that's like. Have you ever seen Phantom of the Opera?
No.
Oh, that's a good musical. Do you like Les Mis? Do you like any of these musicals?
I don't like musicals.
Okay. Why not?
I like get bored.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, when they do the singing, I get bored.
Kind of boring type of singing that you don't like.
It's not even that it's boring type of singing. It's just like I don't sit there and think of the lyrics. For some reason, when I listen to music, I can't like comprehend the lyrics. I don't know why. I just never hear the story in the song. It just sounds like a tune to me.
Oh, okay. So you don't like songs with lyrics in them, really? You just like instrumentals?
I do. I listen to a lot of songs with lyrics. Like my favorite songs have lyrics, but I just like when I listen to them, I like the tune, not the lyrics. Like sometimes I'll love a song and then I have no idea what it's about. I can't remember one word from it, but I love it.
Okay. Do you like any of these like pop singers that they have nowadays? Do you have a favorite?
I probably do because I'm just that kind
like
of
what's
person.
what's the most famous pop culture figure / singer that you're into?
Into would mean I listen to them, right? Does Beck count?
Yeah. Beck. I guess that's kind of like more indie, right? More alternative.
I don't know. I like Beck, but if I was like, okay, before I say which one I like, I actually despise Beyonce so much. Like, I'm very furious at Beyonce as a person. Like, I want to square up with her. And I was in New York, and I remember every day I would see the billboard for Pepsi, and it had like a blonde white Beyonce on it, and I never like thought much about it because I don't care. But on Halloween, I was on the train, and this black girl starts crying when a white girl comes in a Frozen costume, and her mom, and she wants to take her costume off, and she's wearing a Frozen costume too, and she tells her mom because she feels like she doesn't look pretty in it, and she's like about 4 years old. and I was just like, oh my God, this 4-year-old thinks she's not pretty, and like I'm just so sad. And
Because of Beyonce.
I blame Beyonce for like whitewashing.
She's like culturally appropriating white woman hair.
She keeps getting blonder and whiter, and I'm like, but she doesn't realize, like, she knows her, obviously everyone knows that Bey is like an icon figure, right, to little girls.
Yeah.
So if she's an icon figure,
which is totally, yeah, it's sad because I don't like Beyonce either, and she's very slutty and degenerate, and she's promoting that to all her young fan base.
I hate her. Like, I want to square up with her, like straight up. Like, I challenge Beyonce to like a ring fight. But I actually love Justin Bieber. I don't know any of his songs, but I love him as a person. I don't know any of his songs, but I love him.
You don't even know that recent one, Sorry?
No.
Or I probably know more Justin. That's sad.
I listen to like,
I don't like Justin Bieber.
I listen to like, I either like during my commute, I'm either listening to NPR. I don't know why, or I'm listening to like Russian hard bass. So, but I don't know. I think this is super cool.
How about dubstep? Do you like dubstep?
I love dubstep. I love this like one DJ called Dr. P. He's my favorite.
Oh, Dr. P.
Yeah, and I've seen Prodigy and Pendulum in concert and Hadouken. I enjoy dubstep. I've seen Skrillex in concert. He was okay.
All right, we have another audience question here. We were talking about Jews a little earlier. Ian Murphy wants to know, are Jews trying to take over the world?
I think if they succeed, they earned it. I don't know
if they succeed, they earned it.
Yeah.
So what's their? Do you think they have an agenda?
I mean,
what's their agenda?
I don't know. I didn't make it to the synagogue yet, but once I do, I might or might not let you guys know. But I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't know if I could answer that question.
Genocide the white race.
Okay, when I was like,
that's what a lot of the alt-right people will say. You heard that?
When I was growing up, like I was told that the Jews like to divide other cultures because it makes them stronger. And then when I grew up, I like sometimes think, yeah, but why do the Jews need to be like how do they collectively get in a room and decide that? Like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? I think that thinking that the Jews have an agenda to take over the world, there is as much proof on that as there is on the Illuminati existing. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know, but if they win, I salute them.
You salute them?
Yeah, because that's pretty like pretty hardcore, you know. Respect.
Then why wouldn't you, on that logic, why wouldn't you salute the Muslims for wanting to, convert the entire world to Islam and have
because Jews aren't going around raping people.
Oh, okay.
So like if they could do it subtly and still get the reparations and get all that stuff, that's straight out of the Art of War, you know. That's like some hardcore stuff. But the Muslims are just doing it like barbarians.
Yeah,
the Jews are getting Nobel Prizes and are on top of the media ladder, you know? The Muslims are just like screaming into buildings.
Yeah.
It's the what's the word, like elegancy, that like how elegant they are about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the yeah, it's so interesting. The Jews. Yeah, see, another thing, it's like when it comes to the Jews and all these things, it's like it's got to be mentioned. Not all, right? We're only like, if there was a Jewish agenda or something, it would only be amongst a certain Jews. It wouldn't be like, not all Jews are in on the secret. They don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm just saying, I never met a poor Jew. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna put that out there. Have I ever met a poor Jewish person? Not really. So I don't
Have
know.
you ever met a Jew that marries outside that marries a non-Jew? I heard
Yeah.
interbreeding with their own Jews is a big thing.
So when I first like at the first job I got in New York, one of my coworkers was Jewish and his wife was Muslim. But like, I didn't know her enough, but I always like wondered if she was only like there for that green card. And isn't Anthony Weiner Jewish and he's married to a Muslim?
I don't know much about Anthony Weiner. Oh yeah. I think so. Actually. Um, so are you familiar with like the alt-right? Because the alt-right constantly talk about Jew stuff. They're all the
Yeah,
alt-right people. Wait, is it the alt-right or is this more? Some of it's the alt-right, but then
like
it's some's like more
the Stormfronter, you mean?
extreme than the alt.
Like the Stormfronters and stuff
Yeah.
like
They
that.
talk about. They're always talking about how they think Jews want to have like genocide the white race and all this stuff. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah,
Think there's truth to that?
I've actually like seen like stuff like IRL that kind of made me go, oh, is it there? You know, from the Jews. Um, that make me wonder if these like allegations are backed. But then other times I think like, yo, what if that's just like a defense mechanism against the idea that maybe some white people are just like so cucked culturally.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, we always find something to blame. We blame the Grim Reaper and we blame this and that, and maybe we can blame the Jews.
Yeah, they
But
think there's like a an agenda to promote race mixing
but
and in
again,
Hollywood and everything.
yeah, but again, like that I could argue on both sides of this argument because like I've seen certain literature that I could totally see where they're coming from when they say that, like the Stormfronters, when they say the Jews are destroying white culture. I could totally see where they're coming from. But then I could also like think, but really, you know, I don't know, like if it sounds right or something. So I don't know, it's one of the I'm neither white nor Jewish. What does this have to do with me?
Yeah, we got sidetracked by that.
That took me so long to notice. I'm like, wait a second. I don't even like.
Well, it's Ian Murphy's fault for asking that weird question about Jews wanting to take over the world.
I'm neither.
Um,
I'm neither. I have thought about going to a synagogue. I think
oh,
I
so you're thinking
yeah.
about maybe becoming Jewish? That's your pamphlet, maybe?
See, let me tell you something. The more I hear white people complain about Jews, the more I want to become Jewish. Because I think if they have some secret agenda, I want in on it. You know? If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. I like that.
But
I seriously like that.
But
I respect that.
I'm very against circumcision, though.
Well, okay. Why? Because I know why. Probably just because it's traumatizing to the baby and everything.
No, it's just like
Unfair.
it's just like like okay, it's that concept came from a time when they didn't have soap. Why do we have it now? You know, like I feel like it's one of those traditions that doesn't have any like significant value, and then like I just feel like you shouldn't do something with baby that it doesn't want done when it's older and it cannot reverse. You know?
Yeah.
You shouldn't make trans babies just as much as you shouldn't circumcise babies, just as much as you shouldn't label a baby's religion and then tell them they will be killed if they change it.
Yeah. I wonder like if like what's the reason behind that? I wonder if there's like a deeper scientific secret reason why they do circumcision that we're not even privy to only the secret Jews understand. What do you think?
So I know about a couple of historically speaking, like circumcision things. It was for the Jews, it was like a high, like well, one is like like a marker of being part of a religion. Another thing was like a body modification has always existed in different cultures and different forms. For the Jews, it just happened to be that one. But another reason was hygiene at a time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But that also like like fucks with my head because I'm like it just we've advanced, you know. So at this point, the only reason is traditional. There isn't really like hygiene is still a reason, but I mean, unless you're planning to raise a filth lord, I don't think you should worry about it. And
Um,
I'm fostering kids in the future, so I don't know how they'll arrive. I won't look at their penis because they're 13. I won't need to. But like, so
well,
I
if you
don't have
ever
to think about it.
if you ever figure out how to enter the Jewish secret society, please tell me. I think they
Why would
might.
I?
You know, if the
Wouldn't it be part of like the disclosure agreement?
I mean, if anyone's gonna figure out how to live forever, it'd probably be the Jews, right? They're the people. A lot of transhumanists are Jews. They're really into science and technology, you know. It
Has
seemed
anyone
like they'd
ever
probably want
wondered?
to.
Has anyone ever wondered about like how come Queen Elizabeth Windsor is not dying? She's so old.
Oh yeah, that is weird, huh? Maybe
I
she
mean,
already
she's
has some kind of.
ugly.
She's taken some secret therapies, some
I mean,
pills.
yeah, she's like really ugly. So like, she definitely hasn't found the fountain of youth or something. But what the heck
But
is?
another thing I think about, if Jews did have a secret society, would they even let non-Jewish people into their society? I mean, like, isn't it an ethnic thing? Don't you have to be ethnically Jewish to get to be a
And is
Jew?
it? But okay, first of all, I am considered ethnically Jewish because I'm Syrian, and
Oh, you are?
I am.
You're
Look
in
at this.
luck.
Look at this. Look at this right here.
Oh,
My ticket in.
the Junos. All right, well then you might just they might
Um,
just open the doors for you.
I
Go to
know,
that Jewish
right?
synagogue, get
Um,
initiated.
I've been meaning to learn Hebrew. I just don't have time at the moment. But I think okay, fully honest though, there has been a few times in New York where I would say I'm Jewish, especially when I had a Jewish boss, because I actually did feel like I got special treatment when he thought I was Jewish. So like, but
Interesting.
he wasn't just Jewish. He was like fresh off the boat from Israel. So like he was like thick accent and everything. He wasn't like American Jewish. He was like Israeli Jewish from Arabic ancestry.
Hmm.
And I felt like I got a lot of favoritism. As a matter of fact, that's where I worked with the other Jewish guy who was married to a Muslim lady, and I I felt like I was treated better than the guy who was married to the Jewish American guy. And my boss would have like conversations with me about family and stuff. I got invited to their baby shower. Like I wasn't even like close to them.
Wow.
I wasn't even close to them, but hey, this time I was Syrian Jewish, and they kind of like
I think that's a thing with the Jews. Like, that's
they're
just the
tribal.
impression. Yeah, it's very tribal because that's the impression I get with Hollywood. Like, if you're a Jew and you go to Hollywood, you get special treatment. You get shown favoritism as far as getting the good roles and stuff.
But see, here's where I feel like Americans might view this differently. I think being tribal is a good thing because in a sense of community, you have better ethics. Because in a sense of community and tribe, there's actually a book called The Tribe, written by a soldier who went to war in Iraq, and he came back to America, and he said, "You know what? I think the problem with America is that we don't have tribes." The good thing about tribe, and I think it creates better ethics in a society, is because in a tribe, uh, you feel safe because you're looked out for and you look out for others. And because of that, then there has to be a sense of trust inside the tribe. And wherever there's trust, there's safety. So I would rather live in a tribe than live in a non-tribal culture. So I think favoritism is to be admired in tribes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to be in the in group and not the out group. And you got to be with the people who, like you said, if you can't beat them, join them. You got to be in the biggest, most powerful tribe, right?
Yeah,
America.
and I
America
think
is the biggest, most powerful tribe.
and I would not be at all mad at the favoritism because, like I said, I keep them safe, they keep me safe, and this is how a tribe works.
Mm-hmm. I guess it all depends on where the lines are drawn and how exclusive the tribe is, and who's deciding who gets to be in the tribe and who doesn't, and is the tribe based upon silly things, silly criteria, or is it based on good things like
Yeah,
the
but a
quality of a
tribe,
person, or based on just ethnic stuff? Like when a tribe is based on just the ethnicity of a person, it kind of seems a little bit, I don't know, superficial and unfair. And
I think
but if the tribe
maybe
was
it
based
isn't.
on like the actions of a person, if the tribe was based on the actions of a person, like we let the best people into our tribe, regardless of
Yeah, but wouldn't that
race
be
or
a
anything.
cult? Isn't that the difference between a
Um,
tribe and a cult?
oh, so you're saying like a tribe is based on ethnic allegiance
A tribe is based.
and
A tribe has to be based superficially. A tribe has to be based on stuff you don't control. Because if it's based on stuff you do control, then you could. It becomes aware of itself, and if it becomes aware of itself, it divides. But okay, if you're in a tribe, the sense of safety comes from knowing that um, I will protect my tribe members, even if I don't like them. I'm still gonna protect them. But
mm-hmm.
if because not because I don't like them, so obviously I don't like who they are, and if it was up to me, they wouldn't be in the tribe. This is how it affects that. But being in this is what happens if you select people based on their value. But if you have a tribe that's based ethnically or religiously or on something that isn't well, I wouldn't say religiously, but if you had the tribe based on something like ethnicity, then it would be like a safer tribe.
I see what you're saying. It kind of reminds me of the Borg. The Borg is like a tribe. It's like this is might be why you're so attracted to the Borg. You're into this idea of tribalism on you get assimilated into the Borg, and we'll give you favoritism and special treatment if you
And maybe it
assimilate.
is. Maybe it is. I have this feeling towards like you ever sometimes I'll have friends who will do terrible things and I'll think, yeah, they're terrible people, but they're my terrible people. You know?
I never feel that way. If someone is like, I don't know, if I knew someone, I tend to not show favoritism in that way. Like if one of my friends or something, or even family members did something like horrible, I don't know, I'd probably like judge them just as critically.
I'm the opposite of that. Like I will be totally a bitch to some people I know, but then the moment someone else is, it's the end of the world. Like, no, you just messed with the wrong tribe, you know?
So you're the Miss Tribal.
Very, very tribal. I think if my friends do something bad, I usually confront them on person or something. Like I'll tell them in person, alone. But then when
Mm-hmm.
if I know my friend has done something bad and then I hear someone else complain about it, I usually go all it's none of your business and get all real ghetto on them because
Mm-hmm.
no one touches my people.
It's kind of interesting because you, as a Muslim, I mean, that was a tribe.
Yeah,
You
I think it's
you were in
cultural.
you were in the ultimate tribe, but yet you were able to escape from that tribe.
Yeah, I think
Maybe because you didn't
my
like the tribe.
I think my to the tribal culture, be okay, liking a tribe and liking a tribal culture is two different things. But my liking to a tribal culture, I think, definitely comes from inherited culture, because Arabs had to be tribal because of the Silk Road, and um, the geographical location would make it very unsafe for us to not be tribal. So we had to be tribal, and I think I've kind of inherited that in a way. I think we all did as Arabs. Usually, um, I have one of my childhood Arab friends who's not from Kuwait, but he grew up in Kuwait with me, lives in Texas, and back in New York he lived close to me, and I see him at least once a year. Um, I'll have really close Western friends, but it's kind of different with him. I don't know, I could say this Western person is like my brother, but and I mean that as much as I could. But I feel like when I say it about him, it's different. And like if my Western friend calls me up and they're like, "Oh my God, I killed someone," I'd be like, "Oh my God, we should call the cops. Let's come up with a plan." But if my Arab friend calls me and they're like, "Oh my God, I ran someone over," I'll be like, "Okay, stay still. I'll be there." Like, we'll at the body. I don't like. I feel like in both ways I'd help, but in one of them, it's a little bit. I'd get more involved.
So wow. So are you like an Arab supremacist then?
I really don't think I control it. I think it's just like a. I think
Just
it's like a culture, something inherited where I like a tribe feeling, and
mhm.
they don't have to be Arab. They just have to be part of a subculture, for me.
Arab or Jew.
Yeah, they have to be part of a subculture that makes us a tribe. You know, like
So I'm out of luck. I'm out of luck because I can't be in your tribe because I'm just normal white guy, white male.
it's not just like okay. So in on campus on my university, I'm the president of a club, the biggest club on campus, and I look at all my club members, even though they're in all colors and sizes and shapes. I look at them as like my tribe for some reason. Like I'll go into like I'll sometimes they'll be like sitting in a room and I'll just like go look at them all creepy, and I'll just be thinking, yes, those are my babies. Like I will keep you safe. Um, but then even inside that, we have a little subculture where there's a few people who we have like who are not only part of my club and have this common activity shared, but they also like have similar internet subculture that I belong to, you know? And
Mhm.
those people, like I love all of my club, but then those people I'll give them my homework to copy. You know what I mean? Like
So you have different tribes to suit different purposes, and you have tribes within tribes,
it's
and
how much in
it's
common you have with the person. Like I feel like
yeah,
if how many subcultures do you belong to
yeah.
together?
I totally get what you're saying. Like that makes me think like my tribe would be like the eternal life fans. Anyone like that's the ultimate thing. Like if someone is seeking eternal life with their whole, being and they're obsessed with eternal life, that's like I view that person as like the ultimate tribe member.
Yeah, so you have like a tribe.
It's about what you value, right? And what you respect in other people.
Like some people in my club are not like I don't know them personally, but you'll see me greet them like the same way I greet my close friends because they're part of my tribe, so they're instantly my friends. You know, even if I know nothing about them, they're still my friends.
It's kind of like the mafia too. Right? Mafia is like this tribal thing going
We're
on.
just a college club. Okay?
It's like, all right, let's promote your Patreon a little bit because I'm actually gonna have to leave the library in like 3 or 4 minutes. So we gotta wrap it up here. It's been so fun talking to you, but I want to shout out to your Patreon. The link to her Patreon is in the description of this video, so everyone who's been enjoying this chat. But tell everyone why you need some support.
Okay, I'm gonna flat out let you know I don't have a job. I take 5 classes, but whatever time I have, I try to like do the activism that I can towards this. My Patreon is really just like I guess it's just like if you really just give $1 a month, you'd be like, you know what I'm using it for because I'm pretty transparent online and you're all my tribe.
Heck yeah. Yeah, you're doing some really great activism work. Do you plan on like doing more TV appearances and like really getting the message out there?
I'm like bad at PR, but I do want to. I never like decline an invitation to wherever I can spread the message. I'm always like there. I haven't like so far once asked um, for money for an appearance or anything, regardless of whether it was like a personal appearance or everyone who ever messages my Facebook page, I always respond because people have questions. Um, I really want to get the idea out there. I think the more people know about it, the more it becomes real, kind of thing. Because it is real. Just people just don't know.
Heck yeah. I think
Yeah.
you're doing some of the most important activist work out there. I mean,
Yeah,
getting them
I'm just trying to do like, you know how there's like good without God people? I just want to do like
good with
Arab
God.
good without God, you know, like the people who are like good
Oh
without.
yes, yes, good
Yeah.
without God.
Yeah, I want
Yes,
to like I want like to have like as much of like an important phrase as something like Arab without Islam because we need that so bad. We're all labeled as Muslim
I
and
love
it's
that.
really annoying. It's literally on our birth certificates, guys. Like
Yeah,
Arab.
that's kind of
Next
freeing
time,
the Arab race from
you know,
those
you know,
ties.
you know what I would like request from I would say non-Arab, non-Muslim people is next time you meet an Arab or someone tells you they're Arab, okay? Um, out of the blue, say, are you a Muslim Arab or are you a non-Muslim Arab? Because if they are not Muslim, they will really appreciate that. And if they are Muslim, they will realize that, wait a second, non-Muslim Arabs exist. So you do good either way. So please, next time you meet an Arab, ask them if they're Muslim or not.
I love that. And yeah, that's a great message. That's a great message. Don't assume, right? People just assume. Don't assume just because someone's
Yeah.
Arab that they're a Muslim. And let's
And I'm
break down
not,
these stereotypes.
it's one thing to just not assume and be silent about it, and it's much better to actually ask the question because like I said, if they're Muslim, you remind them that there's non-Muslim Arabs, and if they are not Muslim, they will really appreciate it. You'll make a friend.
Heck yeah. Any closing thoughts before we?
I think that was my closing thought.
Awesome. Well, it's been great hanging out with you.
Thank you. You
And I hope
too.
we could do this again sometime
We have
because
the
you are
rest of
just
eternity to do this.
a wealth of, yes, exactly. Your wealth of information and super smart. Fun talking with you. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for giving your questions. Sorry if I couldn't get all your questions. I will go through the chat and actually save some of those questions and maybe ask them again. And if we do another interview, I'd be down for that. But thank
Always,
you, guys.
and feel free to message me if you have more questions. I'm always there to answer.
Yes, and don't forget to check out Sarah Torrent's Patreon. All her links are in the description. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.